Hello and welcome to the Kill Stream. I'm your host, Ethan Ralph, the owner and the editor-in-chief of the RalphRetort.com. Happy 4th of July to all of my American brethren. And thank you for joining me for another edition of the Kill Stream. Wow, what a day it has been. And also, for the people who aren't American, happy Wednesday. So, I have other people on this show. It's not just me, but we have a lot to discuss. Jay Dyer is here in the flesh. Gerudo Tempest in the super chat says, "Search America, fuck yeah, Ultimate Edition." Excuse me. Maybe we'll play us out with that. I'm not sure. I was very careful in selecting the tracks royalty free. So I saw some of the chat and they said that's Jimi Hendrix. That was not Jimi Hendrix. I wish I could have played the Jimi version, but I'm not ready to. I'm not ready to get that copyright strike. So it was a non-Jimmy, and somebody else said it was. He didn't say black people music. He used the other word, and no, actually a white dude fucking played that. So, for the record, a white man played that. And anyway, I'll stop now. Wow, some super chats coming through. Let me read those before I get started. Conrack says, "Jay, oh well, I'll wait till he gets here. I'll wait till he gets here. I mean, he's already here. I mean, I just have to join the call." Duncan Idaho says, "Holy shit, high energy route." I mean, it's the 4th of fucking July. Do you know where I fucking was last 4th of July? In a motherfucking goddamn jail cell. I'm sitting here, free as a fucking bird, enjoying my freedom, loving the United States of America. Zach Lomby in the super chat says, "Happy Independence Day, Americans. Sorry for the rest of you." Lord Akira says, "Hey, Ralph, spent a good day skating, grilling brats, and drinking beer with friends. Hope you had a good 4th as well, and God bless every single American watching this stream. Let freedom ring. Europeans need not apply." I think that's it. Let's go ahead and bring in the rest of the crew here. Hello, gentlemen. We have Jay Dyer here. Before we get to Jay Dyer, thank you for joining us. First off, sir. Zidane, are you still alive?
Yeah, I was in a meat coma earlier from all the grilling and drinking.
Oh, wow.
And blowing stuff up. But I'm here.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Now, what kind of meat did you eat?
So we had of course we had hamburgers, hot dogs, we had steak,
Sure.
we had chicken, I even grilled some bacon.
Oh shit.
And you might hear some fireworks in the background because where I live they get pretty lit. So
But yeah, there's fireworks going off here all evening. My dog is a little upset, but actually I think he's handling it better tonight because there's more fireworks. So throughout the course of the week, there would just be a random like bam, pop going off. He's like, "What the fuck is that?" He thinks it's gunshots because we are in Richmond, obviously. So that's a distinct possibility. But he seems to be handling it better when there's more of it. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but. Gator?
Desensitization. How you doing, Ralph?
I'm doing good, man. How's your 4th of July been?
It's been pretty great. I came home, took a little bit of a nap, and then immediately went to grill mastering my way to a fucking awesome 4th of July feast.
Do you love America?
I fucking love America.
Good. I do too. Guerrilla Radio TV in the regular chat says, "Ralph for president." I think I might be constitutionally barred from being president. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. I'd have to double check. I have a political science degree. You would think I would know that off top, but I think I might be barred.
I can't think off the top of my head that there is a express like ban on people.
In certain states there are a ban, but I don't think there is an express ban in the Constitution for a person like me running for president. Now, certain states do bar you from running for statewide office or governor, Senate, stuff like that. But anyway, Jay Dyer, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, man. What's up? How y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. How have you been? You said you were on the road. What are you doing on the road?
Yeah, man. You heard of that app? You heard of that app, Tinder, right?
I have heard of Tinder. Yes.
Yeah. So like, what I like to do is just take a road trip. You know what I'm saying? Just find different women, you know what I'm saying, in different locales and just start swiping, dog.
Hoes in different area codes, so to speak.
Yeah, go to a different area code and you put it up to like 100-mile limit, you know what I'm saying, and just start swiping like a motherfucker right there.
Do you think you get more pussy than JF?
Oh, I know that shit. I know that.
I mean, JF said, what did he say? He fucked like how many did he say, Zidane? Do you remember?
Thousands. I'm pretty sure.
Thousands. It's in the thousands. It's like Wilt Chamberlain type level. If you people are old enough to remember that.
Yeah, but you heard of that new app that's just black single moms?
No, I haven't heard of that one. No.
Yeah, that's what I'm into. That's what I use.
Okay.
That's right.
It's called Chicken Tender.
That's chicken. I like that.
Well, I'm out here. I'm trying to swipe, but damn, my screen all greasy. I can't swipe on it.
Yeah, you know, chicken tenders, kind of the grease, kind of, you know, it'll fuck up your phone. The OLED.
I'm trying to destroy the Ralph retort right away.
Yeah, well, it's been tried before by me. It hasn't happened yet. I don't know. I'm not saying it can't happen. It definitely can happen, but anyway.
Well, thanks for having me, dude. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. I know you've had some time on your hands. You were co-hosting with Worski. You've had some more free time now. I was gonna originally save that to later, but what do you think? What do you think about all that?
I don't know that I really have more free time. I mean, part of the reason I decided it wasn't going to work was that I've got too many other projects and irons in the fire, so I can't really do, you know, the amount of streaming that Andy was wanting to do, which is necessary, you know, pretty much 3-4 times a week. So
yeah,
got too many things going.
Yeah, we do 5 days. Sometimes we do 6 days a week on this show, and
yeah.
So last week, and this was originally gonna be later on the show too, but so last Saturday we did a stream where we were basically watching Antifa get their lights punched out. Did you see any of that? I
saw a couple clips. I watched some of the madness. I saw a couple clips of your show. So yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that, or?
So this was the Proud Boys, right? Which is like a Gavin McInnes
Proud Boys, group. And I think what Patriot Church Group,
the Patriot Prayer,
and Patriot Prayer,
the Gavin McInnes Youth Group.
Yes.
And Patriots for Prayer, and this was versus Antifa, right? Round one.
Yeah, round one. Ding ding, as they say at the end of Rocky 3. Which I love.
And it looked to me like clips I saw, Antifa just got their ass whooped. That's about all I saw.
It was pretty bad. By the way, oh shit, I have to change the zoom here. So last night we saw, and I thought it was a female, but apparently, while we were watching the stream last night, people said, "Whoa, that's a tranny, Ralph. What are you talking about here?" And it wasn't actually a tranny though. I don't know if we can see the screenshot from this video. Hold on. But they have a picture of it. Yeah, that's. I mean, she looks fairly, you know, belligerent. Maybe even a little high tea. But it's not actually a tranny. That's the person who was beating that ass. Well, one out of many.
Yeah.
Now, did you see?
Man. See, I had my fingers crossed that it was RuPaul had finally gone Proud Boy, but I guess not.
Look at her. She's getting her kicks in here, too. Like, wow. Oh, and then she jumps. Oh, damn. This is ruthless. Man, Antifa. Man, imagine getting clowned by. Oh, man. That's pathetic. Yeah. That's going to live forever, too. And you're on YouTube forever just getting your face beat in by a chick.
Get ground and pounded by a girl. 100 pounds.
Tito Ortiz in his prime, just shit. Then there goes Rufio just knocking somebody out. I don't even know. What would be your suggestions for Antifa? How can they rebound from something like this?
Get more of that Soros money, dog. Get more of that Soros money.
They need
get rolling in.
Make sure you get it up front, though.
Yeah. Did you see, by the way, that it was a few months ago, and it was in the New York Times that he basically left like $19 billion to fund these kinds of movements around the world. And actually, his NGO, his foundation, was about to surpass the Ford Foundation. So he has like the biggest global, NGO foundation influencing thing in the world now. Soros does. That was in the New York Times.
Soros, no, I mean, he's a good guy, right? He just wants to spread democracy and stuff, right? And corner the corner the monetary markets. What he sank the British pound. What was the name of that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Was it black? Fuck. What the fuck do they call that? I don't remember. Basically, he sunk the British pound one day. I think it was like 88, something around there. I don't know. I have to Google that.
Yeah, and he wrote a book called Alchemy of Finance, which is basically about how you print all your own money and scam everybody. So
Black Wednesday, that's what it's not 88, 1992. Yeah.
Currency manipulation.
Yeah, he pretty much like
you tank the currency and then you buy it when it's cheap and
right.
He shorted it, yeah. All right. What else do I have on my list?
Did they teach you about George Soros and foundations, Ethan, in your political science classes?
No, they actually did not. No, they really didn't. Matter of fact, of course, when I was in college, I was fairly leftist. Let's just put it that way. When I was in college, now I was also really.
So then you went to BuzzFeed. Then you started a rap career, and then right.
Yeah.
And then you work for Milo. Then you work for Milo.
You know, it's funny. I followed the baked path. Yeah. I didn't actually. Milo never even paid me, so maybe baked actually had a leg up. But yeah, I used to kind of be Milo's hype man. But yeah, I never actually got paid for that. My wife got paid for it. She worked for him for a little bit, but I never got any money off of it. So I don't know. Jordan Peterson. You discussed him recently. What do you think of this dude?
Well, not a fan. What do you think?
I don't even know what to think, to be honest with you.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't. You have deep-seated issues. That's your problem.
All right. Dr.
You've been influenced by radical ideologues.
Ideologues.
What should I do? How can I turn my wife? How can I turn my life around?
Well, paint. I want to see you start painting pictures. I don't care if they're good. I don't care if they're bad. Paint every morning.
Now, what about? I thought about selling high-dollar rugs. I saw you were into that, Dr. Peterson. Maybe I could get a taste of that market.
Yes. Magic carpet rides. An allegory for the soul. But you wouldn't understand. You can't understand.
Probably not.
Eventually, I'm going to have to only speak in thought forms because no one can understand. It's so genius.
Now, what about your cousin, Dr. Peterson? I heard you had a little few interesting dreams there about your dear cuz.
Well, you brought this up last time. You have a fixation, a perversion, some might say.
I mean, you brought it up originally, Dr. Peterson. That's the thing.
Well, it's my family.
Oh, that's true.
It's not your family.
True. I don't have dreams about fucking members of my family, though. That's the only thing.
You haven't seen my family.
That's true.
I brought this up last time. My cousin is flipping hot.
She's a smoker. I guess she's a snapper too. Then is that what you're telling me, Dr. Pierce?
There's a subtle flirt that goes on in every male to female interaction. It's undeniable. Even boys and their moms, there's flirting. Natural.
She's got that grip. Is that what you're telling me, Doctor?
I don't know. I may be wrong about that. I may be wrong.
Country road.
What do you think about Joe Rogan and your compadres there in the intellectual dark web?
The greatest collection of minds the world's ever seen.
Let's see.
Hands down.
We're in trouble then, aren't we? Yeah.
I like Daniel Spalding's the intellectual derp web. That's right. I think those guys are all like mile wide and an inch deep.
Actually, out of the whole group, I probably like Joe Rogan the best. I hate
I was
to
gonna
even
say he's the most entertaining of that group.
Yeah, I hate to even pick on him. Out of the whole group, I probably like Rogan the best. Like, I mean, Ben Shapiro, total fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Some of the others just like, oh, disgusting.
Ben Shapiro actually went on what's his face? Bill Maher's show and basically advocated for impeaching Trump without like outright saying he would 100% support it. He was just like, ha ha ha, wink nod. If, you know, it's like, if the Mueller investigations prove to be true, then I would support it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Now, you know who's... Oh, well, let me interrupt for just 1 second. You know who is not disgusting out of the Shapiro family? Ben Shapiro's sister.
His sister.
His sister with the big old titties.
Her tits are just, it's like 3D. It's like putting on the 3D glasses going to the theater. When they actually, you know, have the cameras prompt. You know, some movies you go and you put the 3D on, it's like, fuck, I just wasted $8. Like, I could have just watched the regular version. When you see this bitch, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, and she's so skinny too. It doesn't even make any sense how her titties are that big. Like, anyway, go ahead, Mr. Dyer. I apologize.
Well, Ben Shapiro talks really fast, so he must be smart.
You know what? I'll tell a story.
That's proof that you're smart if you talk super fucking fast.
I made a comment.
Annoyingly fast.
So, you know, most of this chat knows. I don't know if you know. I think you probably do. I was in jail for 8 months last year, from June until February 2nd this year. And so I didn't have the internet the whole time I was in there, but I could, you know, talk to people like my wife, my aforementioned wife. I could talk to friends here and there, mostly just my wife and my mom and some, you know, a couple friends.
So hold on. Your wife would bring the cell phone to the conjugal meetings, and she would play you the Ben Shapiro clips the whole time.
No. I'm getting to this. My wife lived, you know, in London, so I didn't even get to see her. Of course, it wouldn't have even mattered because the way it worked was, you didn't get. So, say somebody came to visit you, it would still be over a TV screen. So you didn't even get to see, so it doesn't even matter. Like, just don't even waste your time, if you ask me. But I'd be talking to her on the phone, and you know, she'd be filling me in here and there on stuff. What's going on? You're in. What's going on, Jay? I hear some feedback there. You got one of those chicken tenders? You got one of those chicken tenders there in your room? Is that what's happening there? Okay, all right.
So. I'm sorry.
Just tell her to keep it down a little bit. But anyway, so I couldn't have the internet.
That's probably my 5 kids in there.
The only thing I had to keep me up to date was the telephone, the television, which was usually on sports, and the radio. So we had a little radio you could buy for like $30, some cheap ass Chinese shit that probably cost $2 Not even $2. Like, that's being generous. And the only place it would work, of course, was in your cell, because the ceilings are so fucking high and they're made out of brick, and it won't work out in the pod, but it will work in your cell. So when I go to my cell, I'll be listening to the radio, and of course, one of the programs I could get, conservative talk radio, I would listen to a lot because it would kind of keep me plugged in, keep me up to date. So I'd listen to Limbaugh, I would listen to some of the local Washington D.C. hosts. And one of the people I would listen to was Mark Levin, even though he's a filthy neocon. But every once in a while, he would have somebody fill in. Now, the first time I heard this fill in, I was like, I hear this voice, and it's just like, mile a minute. Sounds like a fucking 12-year-old on crack. Yeah. I'm like, hold up, man. I'm like, this voice, like, this sounds familiar. Like, I know this voice. And eventually, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm thinking it sounds like Shapiro. And then at the end it goes, I'm Ben Shapiro. I'm filling in for Mark Levin. I was like, motherfucker. And so one of the few tweets that I actually had my wife dictate while I was, you know, in jail was that Ben Shapiro sounds like a 12-year-old on crack when he's filling in for Mark Levin. And I don't understand how he's just annoying to even listen to. Is that just me, or?
No, he's not a fun listen.
No, he's not a fun listen.
He's very pompous. He thinks too highly of himself. His voice it's like he never hit puberty. And yeah, he's just got these basic fucking shitty neocon Israel first ideas all the time.
By the way,
he's Rabbi Chipmunk, basically.
Let me say this. I saw somebody mention Jim in chat. I didn't even know he was here, but I do see that he's here. I can't see if he said anything. I'm scrolling up and down. But I will say this. Jim, you had yourself muted for a good 5 or 10 minutes earlier while I was watching your stream. And even at my drunkest level, I don't think I've been muted. I don't think I muted myself quite that long. I was worried about you there for a minute. I thought we were going to have a Korean type situation where we had where we had to pull a rescue mission on you, but I'm glad you figured it out.
I said liquor.
Anyway, yeah, I did enjoy this stream. So yeah, I went. That was just a roundabout way of saying fuck Ben Shapiro. I guess I could have just like trimmed that whole story to fuck Ben Shapiro. But so who else? Who else is in this group, Jay?
Well, let's see. Sam Harris.
Yes,
that dude is weak. This dude is weak AF. There's the Rubin Report dude, and I'm going from memory here, and it was some Weinstein guy. I don't know what he does.
Actually, I think his brother. He's some type of. I don't know what he does either, but his brother used to work at a college. I want to say. Was it Oregon or Washington State? Evergreen College, or whatever the fuck that place is called.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. That's a CIA college, by the way.
No, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Do the graduates glow in the dark, or?
Well, actually, that's the one where people go to The Simpsons. There's a lot of people who are on The Simpsons went to Evergreen. So, I mean, like the artists and writers of The Simpsons. So.
By the way, I had my wife. I'm looking up that old tweet that I mentioned, and you can see it played really well. I actually called this in over the phone. It had 3 retweets and 4 likes. The fourth retweet is the one that I just did right now, and that was one of the ones I called in over the phone. So fuck you motherfuckers for not retweeting that genius tweet. Anyway, go ahead, Jay.
Well, I'm gonna tweet out that the way I heard this story was Ralph claims that in the few conjugal visits he got, all he wanted to do was listen to Ben Shapiro on Mark Levin in the conjugal visits.
Yes. But wait, he's a genius. He's a based.
He's a based fast forward talking cassette tape. Yeah.
I mean, he just wants to defend Israel. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, this is kind of like.
What do you think about
how
that?
is he not a neocon? You know what I mean? Like, what?
No,
why?
how is
this any different? How is this any different than anything that's ever been for the last fucking 30 years? You know what I mean?
What's wrong with the neocons?
Well, they're actually Trotskyites. A lot of people don't know that. But Crystal and his dad, right? These are like formative neocons, and they were heavily influenced by Trotsky, and a lot of them to the Rand Corporation, which, if you're not familiar with that, that's kind of the premier Cold War think tank, which gave us, the Cold War narratives, which transformed America basically into being run by the deep state. So Rand played a central role in that. And it was all being run by these wacko neocons who thought that mutually assured destruction and world war would be a great way to scare the shit out of everybody, and it worked.
By the way,
so here's the key: is that the neocon terror, they got that directly from Trotskyite terror, the Red Terror. Red Terror is a direct line to neocon terror.
Well, I see some people in chat. Somebody called me, except they didn't say Jew, but they said the Jew retort. They replaced that with another word. Fuck the neocons. I hope nobody actually took me seriously, because they're disgusting. And like Mr. Dyer said, a lot of people don't realize that they were actually literally Trotskyite, fucking socialists, communists, whatever the fuck you want to call them, and they sat there and said, well, it's going to be too hard to infiltrate the fucking Democratic Party. Let's latch on the conservatives. Their foreign policy shit's weak, and we can, you know, worm our way in there. And you saw when Hillary was running for president, a lot of these same fucking people flipped over and tried to support her. First off, they thought she was going to win. But second off, they care about their foreign policy goals. They don't really care about domestic policy as much, except for to use it as a wedge for foreign policy. Except for
and William Crystal tweeting out that white people are shitty and lazy and don't work, so please accept 7 zillion Mexicans on an open border.
Exactly.
Bill Crystal's fucking hate that guy.
Somebody says, call them Jews. Yeah, most of them are Jews. Irving Kristol, Bill Crystal, Pod Harris, Shapiro. What's the dude's name that writes for commentary? Fuck.
David Frum.
Yeah, Frum, but there's another one. Oh, God damn it. What is his name? Noah Rothman. That's his name. All these people, you see them all the time, and they're always featured on media, even though they suck. Like, You watch them and you're just like, they're boring as fuck. Like, how do you even get on these shows? Like, they suck.
That's a requirement to be a fucking neocon commentator. Number one is be boring as fuck.
Boring as fucking hell. And then they've been wrong on pretty much every foreign policy thing for the last 20 years. A person like Bill Crystal in a decent country, I won't state where he should be, but you know, in a country, if he had any honor, just imagine this man was Japanese. Where do you think he would be? 6 feet under. That's where, because he wouldn't, you know.
Well, yes, we have to protect Israel. To have closed borders for Israel, but of course we have to have the open borders here, and that's the only sensible policy. Now, this is funny because I was just thinking today about boomers and neocons, and isn't it ironic that and you know, I'm a conspiracy dude, you know, we're going to be talking conspiracy, and it just hit me today that the entire narrative that all of these idiots believe about Russia and Trump and all this stuff is that it was a giant Russian conspiracy for decades and decades, that there are no conspiracies. Don't be a conspiracy theorist. You're a fucking retard if you're a conspiracy. But now the entire mainstream media has adopted for 2 years this preposterous conspiracy theory. So there's basically establishment stamped conspiracies. You see,
the same people they were running down, you know, because I mean, it was a justified fucking rundown. Don't get me wrong. You know, people like Bill Crystal, Fromm, all these people, like, you scumbags sold us this war that was complete horseshit, and it was complete horseshit.
Yes.
And I was a teenager, and I could sit here and say, this is fucking bullshit. Like, what is going on here? But they sold it, and then they were ostracized, but now they're being brought back in as like respected commentators just because they're criticizing Trump. Like, it's
and that was part of the evolution of their them trying to bring themselves back from the Iraq War, because the left hated them, completely disowned them, disenfranchised them after the Iraq War, and they saw their moment to basically get back in their good graces by just shit talking Trump, a guy they already didn't like.
Right, and then that was actually the role that Obama played, was to kill the anti-war left, and he did that perfectly. Right, so basically the entire anti-war movement was killed by Obama. Also, you could argue the 9/11 Truth movement was killed under Obama too, and basically the entire left converted to neocon, and now anything that's known as left in America is essentially just another version of neocons. Basically, you have left and right neocon is what you have in America. That's it.
By the way, we just dropped 200 viewers in like 2 seconds. I don't know what the fuck happened on YouTube, but appreciate that. Appreciate that, YouTube. I really enjoy that. You know what?
Oh, it's my voices, my
I really shouldn't read
my not PC voice. I did.
I really shouldn't read this chat, but Last Stand says Ralph equals race trader plus needs Enoch divorce ASAP. When are you getting it? I'm honestly not getting it. Your comment is just I don't understand it. There was another comment that said Mark Levin is a Jew. No way. I did not understand that. I didn't know that. Wow, you guys are breaking news here. By the way, I'm joking with that. That chatter seemed to be like,
somebody was telling me today, what I was like, what?
He's a Jew? Are you serious? Levin? I never would have guessed. Are you kidding me?
You mean that Mark Levin is a Jew?
And next he'll tell me Shapiro is a Jewish name.
No way. I wouldn't have guessed. By the way, I'm messing with that guy. Seemed to be, just like he actually thought I didn't know, so I don't want to seem mean, but yeah, I did know. Listen to his voice. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, now don't go talking about God's chosen people like that. You know that's offensive to people.
You know what, Mark Levin, talk about annoying. Dude's super annoying, but at least he's somewhat entertaining. You know what I mean? At least he can get fired up. Ben Shapiro, just I don't even know. The only time I've ever seen him Molly amusing was at when he's bashing leftists at some college thing. But even that, it's just like some tomato can scrub.
Ben Shapiro is to the right what Sargon is to the center.
Yes.
He's this low-effort guy that thinks he's smarter than he really is, that basically picks on idiots and humiliates them in front of everybody else because it makes him look better.
Dude, I'll tell you what that picture is that we're talking about with all these clowns at dinner. And it's the Dunning-Kruger mass effect. That's what that is. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do actually, yes.
Yeah. That's what that is. Because every one of those people thinks that they have cornered the market on whatever their particular niche is, like being like King Genius, and these people are paper thin, dude.
Oh, here's a comment. Somebody actually gave another super chat to make sure I go back and ask you this comment. Maybe they got something they want to do. But Conrack says, Jay, would you ever do a show with Semiagog? I saw the two of you interacting on Twitter a few months ago. Some of his interests align with yours: politics, esoterica, philosophy, etc.
I don't know who that is.
Okay. I'm being honest, I don't know who that is either, but that was the question.
Semiagog.
I see I think this is the Twitter right here. I'll post it in the lounge, which you should be able to see as well. If he'll scroll up to the lounge chat. I don't know him personally or know of his content, but
I should add too, by the way, like, and I'm not just trying to plug my shit, but I do the Globalist book series where I go through the writings of the establishment. I think I've gone through about 15 or 16 of them, but the next one that I will be doing is a history of the Rand Corporation and the neocons at Rand. So that will play in directly to what we're talking about. It's called Soldiers of Reason by Alex Abea.
You know what? I saw you put out a statement. I guess it was last week. I think Gator or Zidane had linked it in our group chat, and you made a comment that anybody in alt media,
yes,
you would take them down, no problem.
I'm speaking of, like, big name people. Like, there's not any of them I'd be afraid to.
I mean, you already took down JF. You're saying anybody, basically. Spencer, you take him down, or?
Well, we kind of had a half debate, but Richard didn't want to do a full debate. So, that was Richard's decision. I mean, we originally agreed to a debate, and then he said, no, let's just do an exchange. So, okay, that's debate light. Okay, that's fine.
I know that phenomenon. I won't go any further, but yeah, I know what you mean about that.
Which is fine. I don't really give a shit. But no, I'm saying, like, in a real debate, like any of the old media people, I wouldn't be
now,
afraid.
Who would you like to debate the most out of that group?
Sam Harris or Jordan Peterson, probably.
Now, we run
there was going to be a debate with Matt Dillhunty, but I don't, supposedly that isn't going to happen now, so I don't know.
Well, we run a fairly controversial show. I'm not sure if I could even get those type of people to show up on this program.
Right.
What about, I know, I've seen Halsey poking around a lot lately. What do you think about Halsey?
I think he's entertaining. I think he's a funny guy. I'm not sure what topic I would wonder what topic he would want to debate.
Well, I mean, probably something to do with the Jews, I would have to guess, but
something boomer related.
I was going to say, like, a boomer debate. I already actually did a boomer debate though with Jim Go. That was pretty funny, but I don't know. I mean, so who's I don't know.
We'll think on it. Who else have we had on here? Zidane, Gator. Who would be good?
Not from me. From what about
I don't know.
Papa John.
Anglin? Excuse me, Wanglin? I misspoke there for a second. Yeah,
it's kind of, it's got to be somebody that's committed to some, some kind of position that they're committed to, like.
I don't know.
Would you debate
Sargon?
I think most of people. Oh yeah, I'd love to debate. Sorry, that'd be easy.
He ain't gonna. Yeah, no, you destroy.
But he's not gonna
he
do
wouldn't.
it.
No.
Oh, dude, Stefan Molyneux. I don't know if he would come on, but
he would come on before Sargon would come on, probably.
Yeah, I've been trying to debate Stefan for a while. I had like 60 people tweeting at him, and he didn't want to do it. So,
what were you guys? What were you trying to debate him on?
I was going to debate liberalism at one point, and then I wanted to debate his atheism at one point. And
what do you think of atheism?
I think it's pretty ridiculous. I think it's
now.
Pretty
What do you
easy
think of atheism versus agnosticism?
Well, agnostics tend to be less dogmatic. Atheists most of the time are pretty evangelical about their atheism. So, I kind of take the Nietzschean view that it's funny because Nietzsche made fun of the atheists and he talked about them as like an inverse version of evangelicals.
That's exactly what they are. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I didn't really realize that till, of course, if I'd have read Nietzsche, but yeah, I didn't really realize that till I got older. And the atheists, they have such a commitment to a belief in, a faith in that there is no God, even though they have no absolute proof that there is no God. They're basically the opposite side of that same coin.
Yes, exactly. Right.
So whereas at least if you're agnostic, you can say, well, I don't know either way. I couldn't say, I don't, I'm not diehard either way. I don't have the proof that there is no God, but I also don't have the proof that there is.
I'm gonna sound like a douchebag, but I'm speaking only from experience that because I did do graduate philosophy training. I have an approach to these questions that a lot of the alt media people don't. So that's one reason I'm not really worried about it. And I enjoyed debating Jeff because he was academic, but of course wasn't trained in philosophy. So anybody who is going to try to debate those topics is not going to fare very well unless they've had, high level technical logic.
Yeah, well, if you're going up a guy that's had years and years of training in the topics,
right.
Yeah, you're supposed to lose.
So yeah, I'm not trying to be a douchebag. I'm just saying that's how it plays out.
It's like a professional boxer with 30 KOs going up against some guy, amateur Golden Gloves dude who has 3 fights, with a draw.
Yeah, but talked about the Dunning-Kruger effect. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I mainly meant kind of the bigger name people like in that picture, like in the
picture you were talking about. Yeah,
a lot of those people are papers in. You know what I mean? I don't know there's much there, so they're not going to ever debate anybody who is a serious challenge because why would they? Like, what do they stand to gain from debating some dude like me? Nothing. But they stand to lose a lot.
Well, yeah, that's why they won't. That's the same thing you see in political campaigns. So there'll be an incumbent who's up by 20 points. And they're like, well, my advisors and me myself say, well, I shouldn't even face this person because even if I win the debate, which there's a chance you're not going to, of course, it's not worth it because you're just giving them more publicity. You're just putting them on an equal stage with yourself.
Yes,
and just by doing that, you've lost already. Which there is a lot of logic to that, to be honest. All right,
I won fucking Rose for a long time, and then he just debated freaking Lawrence Southern. Now I'm not dissing.
No, wait, who'd you say? Who'd you say? Say that again. You cut out for a sec.
Larkin Rose, who's a goofball.
Oh,
he probably.
She just put up a clip of that, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, so I would tear that dude's asshole to shreds in a debate.
What do you think of Lawrence Southern's documentary? Did you watch it?
I haven't had a chance to, but I did see that it was out. I'm looking forward to it because, I've heard it's good. Yeah.
We're gonna try to get her on too. We'll see how that goes. All right. We've been fairly controversial, so we'll see. Plus, she's pretty busy, but we do have the request put in. All right. El Chango says, "Happy 4th of July, Ralph. God bless America. God bless the fucking United States of America." I agree. We're in the super chat, by the way. Ziggy Allegado says, "I listen while polishing my boots. Hoo-yah, America." Yosemite Sen says, you guys need to check out Second Civil War Letters. We looked at it a little bit last night, and it's even gotten more cringe since then.
They're trying to steal the what team is it that has that meme where they're like writing freaking Civil War letters?
I don't know, but this shit is. I know the term cringe is overused, but yeah, it's like that. All right, Groovy Snake says, God bless the USA and nowhere else. Ronson says, Europe smells like a fat sequum? I don't know how. I'm not sure. And America smells like a hamburger. Fuck you, Europe, and fuck YouTube for censoring this super chat. All right. Black budget fat cunt. Maybe that's what he meant. I don't know. Black budget cyclotron says Jay won't talk about the black budget cyclotrons. Hyphen says the Jews are the real Hebrew Israelites. Space Reptile says fuck neocons and their TPUSA kitty farm. The only person that I have a legit soft spot out of TPUSA is Candace Owens. And
full disclosure, I did some. I was never actually a part of TPUSA, but I did work with them.
Well, look, I like Candace because we pretty much put her on. I don't say we put her on the map, but we put her on her way. Let's put it that way. If you look back on this channel, her first appearances in this space were actually on my channel. So
is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's slightly increased her profile since then, and that was.
Well, I'm gonna start planning my duet with Kanye and get Kanye to tweet me out.
No, that was literally 2016, and that was like March or April 2016, and yeah, she's definitely increased. Let's see. Cloudstar says, "Give us live boomer tunes."
Oh man.
We'd
have to have some like retrowave music going, and I wouldn't plan on that.
Don't say that because I listen to retrowave.
Well, that's when I did that. They're talking about a comedy video I did.
Oh, okay.
Which, by the way, it just hit like 10,000 on Twitter, so that's cool.
Nice.
All right. Nice. Conrack says, "Can you ask Jay my super chat question from earlier, please?" Yes, I just did. The Harry Gooch says, "Hey Ralph, love the show. Much love from Texas." Are you in Goochland, Texas? I don't know. I just said that because of your name, but yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Vegeter says, "Jay and Andre Wanglin collab when?" I'm not sure. Mike D says, "Nihilism, easy to start, hard to finish." Mountain Walk says, "Jay, what is the one idea you've discovered, that has upset you the most? Also, what did it feel like to destroy JF? Also, have you played Iron-Handed Jay? I love your stuff, man. And I love your stuff, man. Deep and good stuff." We'll start with the first question. What is the one idea you've discovered that has upset you the most?
Probably if you research the like pedo network type stuff. You know what I mean? That's pretty.
Now, we were going to talk about that.
Reset the clock. Reset the clock.
I'm glad you brought that up. So, what have you discovered about pedophilia? By the way, we've done shows literally out of the last, I don't know, 6 shows we've done, probably 5 have had a pedophile in them in some way or another. It's kind of hard to escape. How have you come into contact with the pedophilia phenomenon? What insights do you have on that issue?
Well, I looked at it from the vantage point of like human trafficking and black markets and studying that aspect of geopolitics, which is, a big, obviously the international drug trade and black markets is a big part of geopolitics.
And the human trade too, like, right?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, human trafficking. And so that plays into that. And it actually does tie into the conspiracy world because there is documentation of, child abuse and experimentation that was done, for example, by Alfred Kinsey or during the MKUltra project by Dr. John C. Lilly, who writes books about wiping children's minds with LSD. And obviously that plays a role in the large-scale human trafficking that does go on, and it's gone on for a long time. So, there's the Franklin cover-up and that kind of stuff that ties into politics, and then there's
Now wait. The Franklin cover. What is the Franklin cover-up exactly?
Well, this is. Did you ever hear about that Discovery Channel documentary that got squashed? But it's like it's gone around.
No.
I'm trying to remember the name. It's gone around. If you just type in like Discovery Channel, pedophile Boys Town documentary, it's gone around the internet for like 20 years. Since the internet's been around, because it never did air because it was so controversial. Wow. And what it's about is the Franklin cover-up, where you have the savings loan connected to this black GOP dude named Larry King, who was an up-and-coming black GOP guy in Nebraska. And basically, they were farming out call boys to the White House. This eventually got reported in, I think, the Washington Times, GOP call boy ring, et cetera, et cetera. So it was under the Reagan period. So this ties into the story of Johnny Gosch, if you haven't heard of him. He's in that documentary. So then a couple of people have written books on it. Nick Bryant wrote a book, and Frank Keating, or maybe not Frank Keating, I forget the other Franklin cover-up book. But so anyway, yeah, this was like probably the most famous story that relates to like pedophile cover-up and trafficking in regards to politics that's public. And it's actually the guy who publishes my book publishes the Franklin Scandal book. So then when you start looking at Hollywood and the history of Hollywood, and I wrote my book as not so much dealing with outright like human trafficking or anything like that. It's just a book about like symbolism in film from a more academic perspective. You start to realize that a lot of directors have actually talked about this and put it into their films, and that's part of the theme of Kubrick, for example. So the reason I spend about the first 80 to 100 pages of my book analyzing Kubrick films is because this is such a prevalent theme in his most famous films. So you have like Lolita, obviously.
Yes.
That's about pedophilic stuff. You have The Shining with, the boy is essentially molested by his father. There is an elite aspect to that as well, with the Overlook Hotel being the site of the jet set, being the site of orgies and so forth. Eyes Wide Shut obviously has the human trafficking component to it, very blatant, with the Lily Sobieski character in the costume shop. And then there's Kubrick films that contain this theme. Barry Lyndon has it. Clockwork Orange has it with the Alex character being molested by his CPS government bureaucrat dude. So this is prevalent in Kubrick. So I highlighted it there. It comes up in other films as well. But yeah, I think that what we've seen in Hollywood that's come forth in the last few years, ironically, has, I don't take any pleasure in this, but in a dark way, it has really kind of vindicated, what I wrote about for many years and what eventually made it into the book. So, I'm speaking of like the NXIVM, Allison Mack cult, and then the Weinstein stuff, and then this has actually been going on for a long time. So
now you touched on Hollywood, and by the way, if people don't, I do know a little bit. I mean, I won't say I'm an expert, not just kind of hobbyist in terms of like the history of Hollywood, the quote unquote golden age of Hollywood. I like, I love a lot of those movies, but the dark underbelly of Hollywood at that time, and it's not like it stopped; it's just continued on since then. But Hollywood is an extremely depraved place. Am I off base?
It is. It's I mean, Kenneth Anger, who was a prominent Crowleyan. Well, I guess he still is. I don't think Kenneth Anger's died yet, but he wrote the book Hollywood Babylon about that aspect of Hollywood.
That's one of the books. Yes.
Yeah, during the 20s and then 30s. So he doesn't really cover the more modern stuff. But actually, the documentary Hollywood Babylon is pretty good. If you find that on YouTube, it's worth watching. And my book is kind of in ways a similar type of book. I wouldn't call it a sequel to Hollywood Babylon, but because he actually wrote a sequel. But mine is
some of the same themes.
It does, but mine's more of an analysis of film. It's like I would say it's like Siskel and Ebert on acid, basically, is what my I mean, it is. That's what my book is. And so I go through a lot of the same topics, and Hollywood is Babylon, and it's even conceived of that way, especially when you go visit that what's that mall that basically uses the giant Babylonian gates from that old 20s film. You know what I'm talking about? It's a big mall in LA.
I do, but I don't actually know the name of the mall. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I went a couple of years ago, and I've already forgotten the name of the mall. But anyway, so I mean, it's even in the architecture of of the city.
Now, what do you say to this point? Because I'm actually kind of a cinephile type person.
Awesome.
Even though I realize that. Well, I'll just read this comment first. Good Mackie says all Hollywood movies are trash and created to degenerate people, or excuse me, created to degenerate people, or maybe it means they're marketed to degenerate people. What do you say to that?
That's a little extreme. I don't think they're all degenerate. I mean, there's plenty of decent movies. I mean, the blockbusters, especially in the last few years, they tend to be pretty degenerate, and they tend to promote, some pretty hardcore moral. I mean, Hollywood definitely leads the charge in shaping and changing people's morals. There's no question about that, and I talk about that in the book. I've critiqued that for a long time. I mean, Edward Bernays said Hollywood was basically the greatest engine for propaganda that the world's ever seen, and he's the father of modern advertising and persuading people through subtle means. If you've read his book Propaganda, and that's what Hollywood does. But there's plenty of films, from the 40s and 50s that aren't explicitly degenerate. That's just an overstatement.
Let's see. My favorite movie out of the 40s. I don't know. I have a lot. Out of the Past is a really good movie, film noir.
I like film noir a lot.
Yeah, Touch of Evil, of course, that's another film noir.
That's a classic, yeah.
Yeah, Touch of Evil is kind of, especially the opening. Oh my god. Anyway, I won't
go that opening shot.
Meadows, the hands of fate.
But yeah, that opening shot, Orson Welles. Anyway, I won't go into it. I hate to get degenerate according to chat, but yeah, it's a great shot. See.
Actually, I have a chapter on on noir, and believe it or not, there's actually some interesting esoteric dark stuff related to noir. And in fact, if you're familiar with the Black Dahlia case, I mean, that's an early ritual murder case in Hollywood. So that's one of the, and I actually covered the Brian De Palma film too in the book. So
somebody Jamie Burge says Touch of Evil was from the 50s. Yes, I know that. But Out of the Past was from the 40s. I want to say 42, maybe 44, somewhere around there. That's when that was made.
Yeah, I loved Billy Wilder, Glass Key, and Sunset Boulevard, and those are all classics.
1947. Okay, I was a little bit off there, but still in the 40s. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's I don't know. I just compare some of the old movies, especially in dialogue and acting quality, to nowadays.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad, to be honest.
Well, I'll give you a good example of a movie that's not completely degenerate. Is watch Gaslight, the Cukor film. I always talk about that because it's actually a very psychologically insightful film, because the principles that are being done on Ingrid Bergman in terms of her being gaslit, that's exactly what the establishment does to the masses. They gaslight us.
Yeah.
And you pick that up if you pay attention to the film, and that's a very good film.
Go ahead, Zidane. You want to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with him.
Okay.
I guess the only thing is like the Black Dahlia murder that always interests me, and I was hoping you would bring it up. You said it was a ritualistic murder.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think it was that way? They never solved it, correct?
Right. I mean, there's a bunch of books written on who the prospective killer is or might have been, and of course, I think the leading theory is George Hodel, and his son Steve Hodel is the guy who wrote Black Dahlia Avenger. That that focuses on his dad as the most likely culprit because of who he hung out with. He was hanging out with like John Huston and you know, a lot of the jet set Hollywood crowd of that time, and they were friends with Man Ray, who's the avant-garde surrealist artist. And if I recall, Man Ray explicitly, you know, referred to himself as a Luciferian, and so the specific. Wow. Well, actually, there's a book too.
Luciferian, you mean a devil worshiper?
Yeah, in a very explicit sense. Yes. And if you look at Man Ray's more extreme art, I mean, that dude is some pretty nasty stuff. So I think what people who make the argument that there was a circle of people around George Liddell argue is that if you look at the art of Man Ray, he has a lot of artistic pieces like the Minotaur, which are basically chopped up corpses that look just like the body of Elizabeth Short. So, I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. Like, you know, but I mean, it's just typically called, you know, a ritual crime, even though it hasn't been solved. So, you know, people can debate that, but I don't think there's any debate that it was a ritual murder, given the extreme dismemberment involved in her. Right. You know, her the way she was cut and so forth. It seemed to be very precise and very ritualistic. It wasn't just like a, you know, kill this person and dispose the body. It was laid out in a very open area to be found.
Way. Yeah, all right, let me before I ask you, before we close up the Hollywood stuff, I have one question I want to ask you, but I'm gonna read these first. Dull Hunty over on Streamlabs through PayPal says, "Happy 4th. How drunk are you guys tonight?" And then he says, "Os," which I'm assuming it means Australia. I'm a little drunk. I'm not quite on gym levels yet, but I'm almost there. By the way, I thought Jim might be asleep by the time this came on, because he was a little toasty earlier. But yeah, I'm getting there. Let's just put it that way. Let me read the rest of these. Oh, okay. Well, let me finish the last one. Just quick hits, I guess. What did it feel like to destroy JF? That was from Mountain Walk.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the questions. We got so lost in Black Dahlia. I was pretty confident going in, just because I've had probably in my lifetime at least 100 debates, you know, at a formal and informal level with atheists. So I wasn't really surprised. I was kind of surprised at some of the stuff he said, because it was kind of bizarre at times. Like his cantaloupe and his, what if we had a fictional world where there was a machine that was created and nobody created it? And it was just, he brought in these really weird kind of things that surprised me. But yeah, I mean, I don't mean to sound like a douchebag, but it pretty much went the way I expected.
Dr. Richard Ape in the regular chat says he says he's going to come on in 15 minutes and give away GPUs. So we'll see if that actually materializes. I can't co-sign that because I don't know for sure. Jordy Moss says, what does Jay think of Julius Evola?
I like his metaphysics of sex. That was a very interesting book. I'm not pro Crowley, but Eros and the Metaphysics of Sex is a fascinating book, at least. I actually cited it in my book in a few places. I like his critiques of modernity. I like the idea of, you know, returning to tradition. But, you know, I don't go for his ritual magic stuff. So.
All right. Let's see. Sovereign Humanoid 33 says, cheers, Jay. Please drop knowledge on word etymology.
On the etymology of what word? I don't know what
just
that means.
Etymology. By the way, they misspelled etymology, which I'll let that slide. But it's kind of amusing, so I figured I would throw that out there. I don't know if the word or just, you know, the topic of etymology in general, which has to do with the, you know, how words, you know, came to be and stuff. So.
I mean, that could be like a really long
thing,
or, I mean, that's like a really broad, complex question. So I don't even.
Yeah, that's like a 2
sorry
or 3
to be
hour
a nut there, but yeah, right. Yeah. Like I don't.
If it could be, it actually could be a 35-hour stream, and you still wouldn't.
Probably.
Anyway, Duncan Idaho says, "Ask Jay about Escape from New York/LA."
Yeah, well, I'm a big John Carpenter fan, so I just did a talk on Escape from New York. I haven't done anything on Escape from LA yet because it's kind of subpar. It's not as good as Escape from New York, but yeah, I mean, I think John Carpenter is a fascinating guy. I think his films are a little bit deeper than you might think. They're not just pop fluff. They have some substance to them. But Escape from New York did seem to have some weird pre 9/11 type signifiers, which I thought was curious that I mentioned in my most recent lecture. So, yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. Black Budget Cyclotron says Aleister Crowley and other pagans / Masons, etc., admit their cults are just an organized form of Kabbalah. All this esoteric stuff is just Kabbalah. What do you say to that?
It's not all Kabbalah because Kabbalah has its origins in medieval Spain, and that is explicitly mentioned by modern Kabbalistic scholars, the most famous of whom is Gershom Scholem. If you read Scholem's books, he traces all modern Kabbalism to medieval Spain. So Hermeticism is much older than medieval Spain. So you can go back to, 1st, 2nd century alchemists. They talked about a lot of the same ideas. You can go to the Platonists, the Neoplatonists, Plotinus. They talked about a lot of the same ideas. So there's a kind of a similarity, we could say, a comparative religion kind of skeletal outline that is prominent in Platonism that passes into Kabbalism. So it's not the case that they are all Kabbalistic.
All right, there's another one. Mountain Walk. By the way, this guy stole my question because I was just about to ask. Mountain Walk says, Jay, what is your favorite movie and why is it Commando? Although I was going to put it that way. I gave us 15 questions in one. First off, that was how I was going to kind of finish the thing there. But what is your favorite movie? First off, I was going to say, what is your favorite movie of the last 10 years? And then what is your favorite movie of all time?
I like a lot of Terry Gilliam films. I like 12 Monkeys a lot. It's up there. I don't know if it's my favorite. I like the Godfather trilogy a lot.
Me too.
It's very enlightening. Very, very perfect. Almost the third one is subpar, but if it had been a little better, it would have been a perfect trilogy.
But even that, I know it gets a bad rap, but I mean, because it's compared to the other two, but it's not the worst movie ever made or anything. It's just not.
It's very insightful into the real world because actually I did an analysis of the whole trilogy, and that'll be in my second book, which is about to come out soon too. So I did a talk with Tim Kelly on Godfather. It's had like 20,000-30,000 views. So yeah, that's a very insightful trilogy to learn how the world really works. And I think Mario Puzo was putting into his novels, how the world really works in terms of these black markets. And you can call that conspiracy if you want to. That's fine.
And as much as I love The Godfather, especially the original, and I love the second one too, although I put the original just slightly above. Yeah. The book is so fucking good. Please read the book. I actually saw the movie first, and then usually my mentality would be like, well, I've already seen the movie. Why would I read this? But I liked the movie so much that I said, okay, I'm going to read this book. Man, best book I've ever read. Me personally, of course, I guess I'm a mark for the Godfather, but wow, just such a great book.
Well, he went and talked to a bunch of Dons, about and got stories before he wrote the book. So
yeah, it wasn't just some shit he made up. No,
right.
Yeah, it was more dramatized. Let's see. How did you get red pilled? Was the next part of that?
When I was 18, I read a couple books by Tex Mars, of all people. Do you know who Tex Mars is?
I don't personally. Not off the top of my head, no.
Hey, friends, Tex Mars. Did you know about the Illuminati Zionists?
That's
I see him now, actually, yes.
Yeah, and I can do a
I think I've seen... He's on some of those channels, right? Hold on, let me go back. Seems like I've seen his face before.
Probably.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Well, that's a perfect person.
Oh, yeah, I've seen him. I've seen his face. That's where he's been on InfoWars and some other places, yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago he was on Alex's show, but So yeah, I read some textbooks on cults and like the New World Order and kind of sort of basic generic stuff back when I was 18, and that was my introduction to it. And then started listening to Alex Jones when I was about 22. That would be about 2002 or 3, and then just kind of went down the rabbit hole from there.
All right. The next question: what nerd shit do you partake in? And what do you like to drink?
I played Evil 2. I thought that was a lot of fun. I played.
Wait, say that again. Say it again. You cut out for a sec.
I said I played Evil Within Part 2.
Okay.
I thought that was really good as a game.
I have that too. I haven't played.
Yeah. I play every Resident Evil and beat every one of those. I like Final Fantasy.
Nice.
But that's about the extent of my nerdery. Does Mario Kart count? That's
yes.
I don't know. I think it counts because I have Mario Kart too.
Which of the Resident Evils was your favorite?
4 or 5.
Yeah, most people pick 4.
Yeah.
That's 4 or 2. Those.
That's usually what people pick.
I actually like. A lot of people didn't like 6, but I like 6. And then the new one, I was getting into it, and dude, it was like making me fucking puke. Like something about the new one was just like, some people didn't have the problem, some people did. I had it really bad.
It's
and
visceral.
I still beat it, even though it was making me throw up.
Yeah. You know what you should get into? Metal Gear. I think you would like Metal Gear Solid, the series. You would love it.
I played some of part 1 or 2, I think.
Yeah,
and, it was fun.
The first one is one of my top 3 games of all time.
Then,
the first one, yeah.
And then Metal Gear Solid is for PlayStation. I think you'd like that, the PS1, the PS2 ones. They are like right up your alley with conspiracy theories and things like that.
Generally I used to like role-playing games a lot, but then I kind of transitioned into the more of the action, like, Drake's Fortune, that kind of stuff. And Tomb Raider was fun. The new Tomb Raiders were good.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Gator.
Just one quick comment about Metal Gear Solid and the franchise. It's very interesting how a lot of the things that Hideo Kojima kind of came up with as like conspiracy theories and concepts actually ended up becoming real in the modern era.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't really go into detail because it would kind of be a little bit of a spoiler, but especially in 2, a lot of the things he was talking about ended up actually coming to pass now.
Right. Yeah, that's what my book is about. Not video games, but how that phenomenon happens from film, right? Where you have like revelations in film ahead of time of, shit that later becomes, big news stories or whatever, be it human trafficking or cults or whatever. But in the second book, what I'm working on now is what Hollywood has told us about like transhumanism. And if you played Deus Ex, then obviously you're familiar with,
I saw one of the recent videos about that too.
I like that too.
It's kind of one of the globalist goals, as it were, to unite man and machine, because it represents the stripping away of human will by making you a unfeeling machine.
Absolutely. I just finished Annie Jacobson's 500-page history of DARPA, and DARPA's obviously behind all this. The DARPA's who gave us video games, by the way.
Interesting.
Yeah,
and the internet.
And the internet. And this is not a conspiracy history. This is a mainline book nominated for Pulitzer journalism book, and it basically vindicates everything I've talked about for the last 10 years. So her final chapter is about science fiction, Hollywood, and transhumanism, and basically eradicating the human will. So you're spot on. I just did 2 lectures on that book, by the way. So
cool.
All right, let's see what else. OBGYN Kenobi says, Jay, what do you have to say to atheists that are empiricists willing to accept the concept of a god, but only if proven and peer reviewed?
Well, most of the time, an atheist empiricist would not accept any proof for a god, because by definition, most likely God's not going to be proven empirically. But the problem with like naive empiricism, which I've critiqued for a long time, is that naive empiricism can't justify its own presuppositions. So, for example, if you say all we know is what's immediately present to our senses, immediate sense data, you can't actually prove that, quote, all we know is sense data, because that's a universal claim in logic. So nothing universal can be proven empirically. So it's self-refuting position from the starting point. So that's the problem with empiricism.
I believe you nailed JF on that point, because he tried to say that there is no such thing as a universal truth, which in and of itself would be a universal truth, and he didn't seem to understand that.
He didn't, right? Yeah, he kept denying what first order logic says a universal claim is, which is not hard to figure out. But yeah, that's exactly what the debate boiled down to.
Yeah, you absolutely bitch slapped him on that. I mean, let's just face it. Right.
I found that really funny.
Well, once you make that claim, it's like, well, you just made a universal claim, so you're you're conceding that point. It's like, what's game over? And then he's trying to come up with all these reasons why he didn't.
And people are like, oh, this is just like a lot word games. No, it's not word games. It's called first order logic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's literally logic. Yeah. It's literally the rules of debate, and you just concede it anyway.
Yeah,
we won't get into that. Well, I mean, we just got into it, but we won't go any deeper. But yeah,
can I add, by the way, if anybody wants my book,
plug it.
It has like, it'll brag a little bit. I've got like if you look at Goodreads, the different Amazons, foreign Amazons and all that shit, there's like 150 5-star reviews. So
that's pretty
which is pretty good for a book being out for like a year and a half. So get it from me though. If you want it, it's better to get it from the authors than from like Amazon, because Amazon undercuts people and it's just shitty. So
well, if you want to support the author, it's better to buy direct from it. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can go to Jay's Analysis and you'll see the tab there if you want.
Wait, repeat that. You cut out a little bit.
So if you go to jaysanalysis.com, you'll see the tab for the book, and you can get signed copies from me.
All right.
And it became a TV show too. It's a TV show too.
Yeah, I looked into that a little bit. Conrack in the super chat says Jay destroyed JF and Nick Fuentes. Who's next?
Well, there was going to be Richard, and then I had a similar situation with Styx, where it wasn't it was like a half debate, an exchange with Styx. So, yeah. There was Kokesh. Kokesh got smashed as well.
So let's continue so I can get through. A helpful hand job. That's this guy's name. Do you believe in the whole Nephilim conspiracy? Nephilim?
I don't know about a Nephilim conspiracy, but I do think that Genesis 6 is talking about angels and humans. Yes, so I've done a couple shows on that.
All right, let's see. A Ball Guy Creation says, "Happy Independence Day to Ethan and the Ralphist posse and chat." Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Groovy Snake says, "I hear it's amazing when the famous purple stuffed worm with the tuning fork does a raw blink on Harikiri Rock.
Harikiri Rock.
Harikiri Rock. Yeah, that's the Harikiri is the Japanese ritualistic suicide, right? That's what we're talking about. Yeah, so.
That is actually a reference to Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
Okay. I played Metal Gear Solid 2 when it first came out. I still remember playing, especially the ending when it gets into the Patriot, like fully into the Patriot shit. I'm just sitting there playing it. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on right now? And you're transporting back from, like, I don't know if it's downtown New York, and like I don't know, it's fucking crazy as fuck. But yeah, matter of fact, I have like the Metal Gear Solid collection or whatever on PS3, and I was gonna go back through and play them all, including the PSP games. So they took the PSP games and put them on PlayStation so you could play, because I didn't have a PSP at that time. But yeah, I need to go back through and play Sons of the Patriots, because this shit is fucking... Anyway. I think... Let me do a refresh. Oh, Black Budget Psychotron says the Fedoras can't axiom.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Let's see. Beef Burrito earlier in the chat says Ralph is the type of nigga to use his one call to have his wife tweet for him. Well, actually, the way it worked is you pretty much has as many calls you want. if you could get to the phone. Of course, there was a lot of broke people in there, so you could usually get to a phone. Except it was 10 cents a minute, and you could only talk at 15 minutes at a time. So they definitely made their money off me. Kim S says, Ralph, can you ask Jay if this is from Radio Chat, by the way? Ralph, can you ask Jay if he'd ever go on the Paranormies on TRS? They're right up his alley.
What do they do? Is that like paranormal stuff?
I mean, I'm assuming that it is. Yeah.
I've been on a few of those kind of podcasts. Actually, this weekend I'll be on Coast to Coast. So that's
really,
dude,
that's awesome.
I'm a longtime fan of Coast to Coast.
Yeah, I was on.
No, go ahead. You cut out for a second. Go ahead. Restart that. Go ahead. You cut out for a second.
I was on like a year ago and invited me back this weekend. So I'll be on July 7th, I think. So.
Now, how often did you listen to Coast and Art Bell and stuff while you were growing up?
I didn't really listen during the Art Bell phase. I mean, I knew who Art Bell was.
George Norrie was another guy that I actually listened to a lot too.
I didn't listen to Coast until more of like after Alex Jones was on, and then I knew who George Norrie was, and then I went and was on George Norrie's TV show and got to meet him and hang out with him. And that was pretty cool. So I got to know Norrie a little bit, but I never did meet or have any Art Bell exposure really. So
actually, so when I started listening, I used to listen to talk radio all the time. A lot of it was sports talk radio, but late at night, sometimes I would listen to Coast. And by the time I started listening, because Art Bell's just slightly before my time.
Right.
George Norrie was the main host, but Art Bell would still be coming in every once in a while. You know what I mean, and kind of doing his thing. So I would hear them both, but it was mostly George Norrie. And yeah, it's good shit. What else?
Did you ever lurk on the X board of 4chan? I spent many a day on that board.
Yeah, so have I.
Did I ever?
Yeah, it's the paranormal board on 4chan, as Gator said.
No, I've never been there.
Oh, it used to be good back in the heyday. Now it's just people trying to get fucking succubuses.
Yeah, people trying to summon their tulpas and suck you by.
I'm not shitting you. That's literally all it is now. Like they're trying to get tulpas or get a succubus to suck their,
Yeah.
By the way, I see PUK in chat, and he says Metal Gear Solid is, in my opinion, Metal Gear Solid 3. Out of all the Metal Gear, I don't know. Snake Eater is so fucking good. And
it's probably the best.
If I had to sit here and just, I don't know, but one has that special place in my heart. So when I beat Metal Gear Solid, the original on PlayStation, well, I mean there were Metal Gears before, but the original Metal Gear Solid, like that was one of the first times that I really just felt like, wow, really, you know what I mean? I know it's a video game, but when I beat it, I was like, wow, really just fucking accomplished something here. You know what I mean? Like when I completed that game, and I still remember the double disc and how it folded out and the all white cover with the Metal Gear Solid and fucking red neon. Like, oh my god, I'd kill you for that. I would kill you for that. I would kill you for that. Yeah. I'm not kidding. I had it, but I don't know what happened. It got stolen or sold a long time ago. Yeah, I had it originally.
It's my parents' house.
I can still see it in my mind's eye, though, like what it looks like. It's just
the Psycho Mantis, man. Oh my god.
Oh, and they're reading your memory card. Yeah. Oh,
I can go through that game for we can talk about it for all day. Like I fucking love that shit. But yeah.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so should we just get? Maybe we should get into the drama now. With the JF and stuff like that. I have a couple clips. One of these clips I downloaded. Maybe I should upload it. So JF had a stream earlier. I actually went on this stream for a few moments. Let me see.
Yeah, I saw a bit of that stream earlier. He was
same.
The point of it was to kind of clarify what was going on with Lauren Rose and Emily Yukis. He had his 3-day break recently, and today was his first day back, and so I guess his whole thing was he wanted to address kind of his take on what was going on and kind of give his spiel.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. Let's see. I'll upload this clip. This is the one I don't think that you guys had. Here's JF on Andy. He actually mentioned me in passing, and that's kind of, I didn't hear it, so I just heard the end, and then I came back and somebody's like, yeah, he's talking about you too. So I ended up getting on the stream after this. If you'll look in the lounge chat, Jay, I'm about to play this video. I guess I'll pull it up on screen. That'd probably be the best idea, wouldn't it?
How are you doing?
Oh, well, JF, chill. Hold on. We're not ready yet. I'll give you a second to pull it up. I'm also looking through the regular chat now. Ask JF if he thought Jesus was black. I mean, not JF. Ask Jay. I thought it said JF. I'm a little drunk. Ask Jay if he thinks Jesus was black.
No, man. No, man. He wasn't black.
All right.
No, man. I'm a black man. I can tell you he wasn't black.
I can tell you why I know Jesus wasn't black. Because Jesus turned water into wine, not water into Colt 45.
Yo, work every time. That work every time.
Colt 45, work every time. All right, let me go ahead and play this. JF on Emily Yukas, and then he's trash talking Andy. Now there's a part. Do you have the clip, Gator, where it's actually when I'm on the air and he just completely goes off on? Maybe that's the one I uploaded where he's just like, Emily's an idiot. I think that's the one I uploaded. Anyway, let's play this one first. Right now.
How are you doing?
Hello, JF. I'm 100% with you, and
well,
I'm wondering what you're thinking about Warski coverage of this situation.
I didn't watch the Warski coverage. I've had a couple of trolls come at me with memes that were emerging from that episode. I've banned them. I don't care. I've actually fell on a 5 seconds part of Andy, and it was because I clicked on the video and I didn't care about listening, but I just watched 5 seconds, and it was essentially him saying, so Jeff is like, he's like telling Emily Yukis to not say these things, but like, why? And I was like, okay, this is exactly the kind of low IQ interventions that I've ejected from my life. And I was like, why would I care about listening to more? These people who comment on this, what are you waiting for? Invite Emily Yukis. I just gave you gold, right? If I was to listen to you, you seem to be implying that Emily Yukis, let me just try to fix this TV thing here. You seem to be implying that Emily Yukis' hate speech is pure gold. Ah, beautiful. You can become rich, Andy. You can become rich, Mr. Mitterker. Ralph Retard, go ahead, invite Emily Yukis and make something absolutely sustainable. You're gonna make lots of money. Why do you think they give me these tips? It's because they're not true tips. These people are retards who are trying to display on the public space tips that they wouldn't follow themselves. Hey, Andy, why don't we reactivate the Chris Cantwell episode, you fucking idiot? Don't you want to make money, Andy? Don't you think it's gonna be good for your channel? Hey, why don't you invite Emily Yukis? I'm gonna go on a Warski live with Emily Yukis, and we're gonna make some hate speech. We're gonna say how we like killing some minorities. Of course you don't want this, and I don't want this. Why? Because you know, Andy, that it would lead to the destruction of your channel. And you don't have the respect for yourself and your audience to be honest with them. You don't want to tell them that you're just like me. You wouldn't get Emily Yukis. But go ahead, do it. I can't wait for your channel to be the conspiracy channel of the year. You're gonna be the next David Seaman. You're gonna be a retard with glasses who tells false stuff on the public space and who will get ridiculed for the rest of his fucking life without a YouTube channel. It's gonna be fun. Fuck you, Andy, and fuck you, anyone who makes these claims on the public space, but who don't stand by their words. How about you show us what a great show with Emily Yukis is, Andy? That's my thought, Enterbug. Did you have any other subject to cover?
No, I just wanted to add that it was very frustrating watching Dvorsky's show because most of his other guests that were commenting on the subject, they were pretending as if you were trying to tell her that she can't have these thoughts, as if she couldn't even express these kind of opinions while you were just framing the correct way to express these subjects, right?
Absolutely. I don't even have an objection to Emily having her own channel where she does that kind of thing and she can live with the consequences, which is you're gonna have a strike, you're gonna have to start another channel. Why would it have to be on my channel? It's not even a free speech question.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks
all
for
right,
having
thank you so much for coming, Enterbug. All right, let's get Pinky Culture. Hello, Pinky.
All right, Pinky Culture comes on. I end up coming on after, and then he said, well, I wasn't really talking about you or whatever when I came on. I think there's some, I don't know if Gator uploaded them, but there's a clip where I came on as well. Here's another clip. I guess I'll just go ahead and play that next as well. This is the next one. I'm not sure if it's coming up correct in the lounge or not, but I'm gonna try to pull it up here.
Well, I've never seen it.
Oh yeah, I think this might be me actually on this clip. I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and play it though.
Well, I've never seen a good idea pop out of her brain where I'm like,
yeah, this is the part where he talks about Emily's brain.
Well, I've never seen a good idea pop out of her brain where I'm like, oh, this is very intelligent. I mean, she may be good in her animation skills, she's good at doing this, but as far as like blowing me away with an intellectual reflection, I think she's just entertaining. She has a good entertainment IQ. But when I told her you cannot do hate speech, now comment on this news item. There was nothing coming out of that brain. I mean, you could have had a donkey and the donkey would have done better.
He said a donkey would have done better than Miss Euclid. Any thoughts on his proclamations there, Jay?
I was really in time changing the channel on the TV behind him. That was my favorite part of the clip earlier.
Yeah, he had some problems with the TV. He constantly had to keep going back and
that flag waving thing is kind of funny, but there was something else he said that I was going to mention, but I don't know what is. I mean, I think that I think it was Prince Hubris or somebody was saying that basically it looked like JF was just trying to get a chick, and so he was like going through this retinue of thoughts of tuts. Maybe that's what was going on. It wasn't really trying to find a co-host, but maybe JF was trying to get laid, spread his seed.
Gone, thought.
I don't know. I'm just talking shit. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I watched a couple of his streams. I thought they were okay. I didn't really watch the Emily Yukis streams. I watched some of the Lauren Rose streams, but I mean, if he's going to have this very rigid kind of stricture on what can and can't be said, he's going to have to follow it himself, I guess, which is kind of what Emily's point was to you, right? That JF didn't really follow this regimen himself.
Yeah, I mean, it did seem to be a little selective, let's put it that way, and like he was already kind of pissed off at her. I don't know if it was over the Lauren Rose thing or what, but it seemed like he was taking out a few things on her. And I did get on the stream. I mean, understand his show's different than what we do. We kind of have a free-flowing thing where pretty much say what you want, as long as direct calls to violence. I would say don't say that. But other than that, pretty much you can say what you want. If I think it's too hot, I'll just take it down immediately, put it on SoundCloud. Now another thing is some people were criticizing me and they said, "Well, Ralph, You know, you took Emily's episode down and you put it on archive. Well, okay. First thing is, I've talked about this for a month and a half. Basically, all the streams you see on this channel are eventually going to be on the archive channel, and they won't be available to watch on this channel other than, you know, you going there and watching them. Or going on SoundCloud and downloading or watching them there. Now, there's a reason for this. It's because it's for strike protection. Basically, even JF himself talked about this.
Right.
That people will go through your old live streams, and maybe they go through all at once, or maybe they wait and save their attacks and try to get you a succession of strikes in a row to just take your channel down. And you know, live streams basically. Now, there are some live streams that hold up, or, you know, they're on a certain topic, or they feature a certain person that you want to be there available forever, and that's all well and good. And I talked about earlier, I don't know if this was on air or off, you know, some live streams I actually, you know, have a sentimental, you know, an emotional connection with, and I'd rather see them stay on my channel just because I had a lot of fun doing them, or I feel like they're important to what we've done here. So some of those I haven't taken off as early as others. But the idea is to protect the show, protect the channel against that type of attack. So that's why I try to move them to the archive channel. So the Emily stream I left up for 36 hours or so. By the time I took it down, the views were kind of trickling in at that point. Most people that had wanted to see it had already seen it. So I moved it to the archive. It was already on SoundCloud. It's not like I took it down and tried to hide it from people. I mean, it's still there if anybody wants to see it. So that was the logic behind that.
Well, his argument is that since he's in Canada, he got this like triple layer of, you know, Patreons, strictures, YouTube strictures, et cetera, et cetera. So he's got to like stack this up triple tier, and then also Canada's laws. But the problem is that if he's going to try to find a co-host who's not in Canada or, you know, somewhere else, that's going to be very difficult because, you know, in America, we're kind of used to just saying whatever we want to say. Yeah. So I don't know what and plus on top of that, it's just hard to find a co-host, you know, who's just some other internet person. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know this person. You're trying to, you know, set something up with them online. It's like, kind of like with me and Andy. Like, I don't really know Andy. We get along fine, but you know, it's like, will this jive? Will there be chemistry? Well, I guess we'll just have to try it out and see. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of hurdles.
Well, it's even like with us right here. I mean, besides, you know, we talked on the show, you know, once. I've seen you on Twitter, but we don't really know each other. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Right, but I'm saying he wants a full-time co-host. You know what I mean? That's like a lot of time that goes into talking to this person, and you know what I mean, spending with this person, and it's difficult to just pick some, you know, YouTube tut to do this.
So Dan, did you have something to say? I heard you.
No, I was just agreeing. I was just paying attention. I mean, I don't like. I guess I'll say it here. I don't like how he tried to make Emily his co-host, and then all of a sudden now, because that's what he literally even said it. I was watching his stream. He literally even alluded to the fact during what he was saying, but she wouldn't understand the rules. And now as soon as she's done, he's like throwing her to the curb and like, you know, letting the bus run her over pretty much, and just talking about her behind her back. Listen, if you're gonna say something, have her on and talk about it. And the other fact is, he was trying to say that, like, you know, if you want to, you know, talk about her, bring her on. We did bring her on Monday. She was fine, 100% fine. Like, that conversation was great. She was funny, and I didn't think she came off as he wanted to say low IQ or whatever. I thought that was a little too far, you know, to go, and especially after like his co-host, he picked out of his two co-hosts, it was between her and Lauren, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's praising Lauren, and he's pretty much denigrating Emily. I guess because Emily's told him no. That's what I think. She said no, and he was like, "No, you can't say no to me. I'll say no to you."
Well,
JF should convert to Islam and have a harem, and then he would be happy. He would be happy with what, you know.
Well, also, I think Emily made a good point about I can't remember the exact phraseology. I think she was talking about implicit and explicit different personalities who are implicit with what they're saying, but they're not explicit, versus other personalities who are flat out explicit, and how the people who are implicit shouldn't denounce those who are explicit because they have a lot of the same goals, and they might not agree on everything, but kind of in the same space or same team ideologically, at least somewhat. And that by denouncing the people who are explicit, you kind of hurt your whole overall goal. And I thought she put that in a very intelligent way. And so I think it was unfair. And I even said that when I was on there with him. I was like, I think you're kind of being unfair calling her low IQ and stuff like that. So that was my point.
Yeah, that's a easy go-to cut down. I mean, is everybody low IQ? It's like,
well, I mean,
I don't know.
Like,
yeah.
Gator, what do you have to say about all this?
It's ridiculous to basically go out there and like, oh, I'm going to defend my co-host. It's important to defend your co-host, and it's just like, oh, she's a bitch. Fuck her.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just. I will say this: he was talking about as far as he's going forward, he's just gonna keep it single host. I think that's just him. I think it's probably a good idea. For a while.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, he can still do what he does by himself. He doesn't necessarily need to bring another personality in. Especially, there's been some prickliness, not just with him and Lauren, but with him and Emily, him and Ann. Going back to the Andy thing, it's like, well, maybe just kind of stick on your own for a little while and see how that goes. Groovy Snake in the super chat says Solidus did nothing wrong. Daniel Salea says, "What is?" He calls you Jay Bell, but what is Jay Bell's opinion of Art Dyer?
Good one.
Doesn't even.
Yeah, no. Sean Taylor says, "Be honest, Ralph. She was on her absolute best behavior on your show, and he was right about her contributions being low IQ." No, honestly, I don't think she was low IQ. With what she said, and she pretty much was on her best behavior. Like I didn't. I mean, like I said, I could have left that show up compared to some of the other shows that are going on, that are still on this channel. But I just took it down, and the reason for that is, first off, like I said, all the shows eventually going to go there. The second reason is I was worried that like diehards of JF or people that are like, oh, Ralph's trying to fuck him over or whatever, which is not true. But they would be pinpointing things from that stream that they wouldn't necessarily pinpoint in others. So after the 36-hour period, when after most people have already heard it that wanted to hear it on the main channel, I just took it down, and it was already up on the archive and SoundCloud, so it's not like it was hidden or anything. So that was the logic there. Let's see. Should we take some callers? What do you think about that, Jay?
Definitely.
I think it sounds great. Yeah, sure you'll get some shit talkers, and I love my shit talkers and my haters.
All right, let's try. Dan, he's muted. If you come in muted, you're gonna go back out, and we'll try to bring you in later. But don't do that. Wizard Frog, you're on the air live on the Kill stream.
Yeah. Happy Freedom Day, motherfuckers.
Happy Freedom Day, buddy.
Happy Freedom
I
Day.
have been fucking drinking, and it's getting
hell yeah.
real. I am more fucked up than Ralph on most Ralph retorts.
That's saying
That's a high bar to set, man.
Holy shit, I'm ready. God damn, I love America. I love this fucking place. I hate the UK. It's fucking great. I'm actually half UK Brit Bong. Fuck that country. I'm so glad that my grandfather chose to stay here and take his bad-toothed wife over here and start a business. Because holy shit, if I was stuck in the caliphate, I would throw a fucking bombing spree. I don't know what I'd do. I fucking love it. it's great, and it's fucking great. There's nothing else I could say besides drunkenly ramble about how great the America is.
Do you have a question or a comment for our guest?
I do. Guest, what do you think of JF losing to a woman because he's a fucking idiot?
What did he lose? You mean a debate, or are you talking about his co-host?
I mean, didn't she leave his show?
Did he boot her? Or did she just leave, or was it like it mutual?
Right?
Lauren left. Lauren left. She sent him. I don't know if you're gonna play the clip, Ralph, but she sent him a 2-page letter, and he said he didn't read it.
I didn't read the letter.
He said he read the last line. I mean, those are his words.
Do we have the clip?
Sure
Do we have that clip?
Cried while he did that too. I'm not sure.
Do we have that clip, Zidane?
Well, I don't know. I didn't clip it.
You know how the French are. You flash a spoon in front of them and they fucking lose it and they can't think rationally.
Go ahead, Jay.
Maybe now it's my turn. Since we're all basically a bunch of like show whores, maybe it's my turn to be JF's co-host.
Oh.
Well, put on a skirt and he'll fucking bring you on.
I will.
That was actually suggested by some people. No shit. Yeah.
Give me your best girl voice, Patrick. Lay it on me.
I'm gonna Let's say I'm gonna put on my RuPaul costume and see if JF will take.
I'd like to be your new co-host.
I'm a very
insightful 19-year-old. I know what I'm talking about.
All right, tranny.
Debating.
I'm an alt-right tranny, and I can get pregnant, so JF can knock me up, and we can have our
kind of alt-right, and I wear a skirt, so obviously I'm the best co-host you can get, and I won't ever abandon you. Oh shit, it's fucking great. I just love people getting what's coming to them. He was fucking warned. Everyone saw the writing on the wall. All right, well, I'm gonna drink some more and laugh at the stream some more. I love America. You guys are great stream. Fuck UK.
I was just in the UK and the whole place smells like grandmother soap.
Did you get thrown in jail for having a butter knife?
It does, dude. Like you walk around. It's like, what the fuck is this weird?
An assault butter knife, you'll get thrown in jail.
Yeah.
Is this true?
They can do that, yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I don't own a moped, but if I wanted a moped, I couldn't live in the UK because apparently it's an assault weapon there too. I mean, when you hire 400-pound fat lesbo brown cops, they really can't do anything to stop your moped rampage. They can't even catch up to you.
All I saw was seas of burkas everywhere. So
there were a lot of those when I went to.
Yeah,
it's basically a fucking caliphate at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Wizard Frog, for calling in.
All right. Have a good day, guys.
You too.
1988 race war now.
Yes. So the thing about it, like, I see people who, women or whatever with the hijab and stuff. You see some traditional stuff, but when I went to London, I wasn't used to seeing people in like the full Muslim garb. You know what I mean? Like the
actual ninja. Yeah.
Yeah, like fully decked out. Either they have the dudes have the full, white suit with the hat or whatever, or the women, not just the hijab, but just the full covering and shit. Like, I wasn't used to seeing that everywhere.
Yeah.
That was a little. That was different. Let's just put it that way. All right, so Dan, I'm gonna bring in a caller. Somebody asked me what I was eating. I didn't realize you could hear that. You probably heard me when I was trying to talk because I still had the food in my mouth. What I had was a Ritz cracker with peanut butter, which, I mean, that's like one of the classic superfoods right there. You cannot beat a Ritz with peanut butter, and it was Jif peanut butter fresh, not the pack of crackers that are sometimes not fresh, but it was literally Ritz and then me putting the peanut butter on it.
That's Ralph's ghetto 4th of July cake.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. God bless America. All right, I'm gonna bring this person in, Zidane. I'm gonna leave you up with the MC duties because I gotta run to the other room real quick. OBGYN Kenobi, you're on the air live on the Kill Stream.
Ralph is leaving his own stream. Well, I ran him from his own stream. He's like, I'm done with this. It's just boring. I'm out of here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a drunk neighbor visiting when you finally answered my super chat, which is unfortunate. So I missed half of what you said, and that I'm kind of drunkish now. So, but I heard part of what you said. I'm on your website now, jasonanalysis.com. I'm definitely open to hearing your point of view on this.
On what?
I was asking about the empiricism, and like I'm an atheist, but
okay.
I'm open to other possibilities, but
okay.
I want proof.
Okay.
I heard part of your reply.
Okay. Well, the first thing I would say is the nature of proof. It's different for different types of things. So, for example, the way that we would prove, at what temperature water boils is different from the way that we would prove whether or not there are principles of logic. Okay. I mean, I'm not even getting to the God stuff yet, but I'm saying, would you agree that the different types of things might be proven in different ways?
It depends on how you define that, really.
I mean, in other words, if you set up the debate from the outset by saying that the only thing that exists is what's proven empirically, and I only know what's proven empirically, then you've already stated from the outset, you've already limited the scope of what exists. And the question is about what exists, right? So in other words, what I'm saying is I'm calling into question your view of what it means to prove something. So I believe that we believe in all kinds of things, me and you both, that aren't directly empirically observable. We believe in the past. We believe in the existence of the self over time. We believe in mathematical and logical principles which are not empirically verified. So there's all kinds of things that we all believe in that aren't empirical. And so what I'm telling you is that empiricism, naive empiricism, is a foolish and stupid approach to philosophy. It's very easy to refute. And the way that I refute it is just to say that you can't prove the very starting premise of your position, that we only know what we can see with our immediate senses.
Well, we can only verify what we see with our senses, or can measure with our tools.
You can't verify that. You can't verify that claim with your senses.
But my question is, how would you how would you make your God claim measurable, and how would you measure it? How would you verify this?
I just responded to that by saying that not everything that we believe in or prove, it fits into the category of simple measurements, and you don't even believe that. That's my response. Because to say that I only believe in what's measurable is self-refuting. The only thing that exists is what's measurable. That's self-refuting. Because the statement itself is not measurable.
Things can't exist that have not been measured yet, but it does not mean that it's not measurable. So
you're not getting the point, though. The claim itself, okay? Do you like, if you take the claim, the proposition that you're making, that's not measurable, and it's the beginning point of your position. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I can't really say that I agree with that.
So, do you think truth claims are physically measurable? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, for most part, yes. I can't think of any that are not.
Where is the truth claim, and how do you measure a truth claim? This is retarded. Where is it?
It comes down to what can you prove? What can you measure?
Where is the truth claim, and how do you measure? Where is it located?
Specifically, truth claim of what? When it comes down to that,
the claim that you just made, your position.
I think he's just going around in circles, buddy.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm drunk. I'm not in the best position to make this argument at the moment.
Yeah,
I'm not going in circles. I'm asking you.
No, you're fine. Obi.
No, don't stop him. Let him continue. Don't stop. Go ahead. Don't cut it off. I was here the whole time. I was just
trying to tell him to narrow it down and come to a conclusion, because it just
basically what Dyer's saying is you're making a claim, so it's on you to prove the claim that you made. That's the whole point. If you don't make a claim, you don't have to prove it. But you made one. That's what he's going to.
Okay, I'm sorry. Which claim am I making?
The
only thing I'm making is that if you're making a claim, you should be able to measure it.
Yeah,
you're making a claim that there's
That's a claim about what exists, about the nature of reality. It's a truth claim. It's a proposition that you're making. And I'm saying that it's a very simple question I'm asking, which is that can you measure and locate that proposition or its truth value? No, you can't.
Okay, then if you can't, then it doesn't exist.
Then I don't have to refute you. You just refuted yourself. Your own proposition is not true and doesn't exist. That's retarded.
You got anything else? OB,
No, not at the moment. If you want to sunset me, go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, you can. I'm
going to have to.
I'll give you the last word.
I have better set of mind here. You know.
I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't have any last words. I'll come back at this later when I'm very prepared. Better set of mind.
Happy 4th of July. Thank you for calling in.
You too, though. Yeah. Happy Freedom Day.
Yes,
thank you, dude.
Freedom Day. Thank you,
everybody.
He's like, "Thank you, dude." After you just called him a retard, I like that.
But I don't think he was a little drunkish. So
well, I was saying that the argument was, that guy's probably a cool guy. I didn't mean to be.
Yeah. No, you're saying what he's saying is retarded. You don't mean that he's. Yeah, it wasn't a personal. It wasn't a personal beef.
He just was. I don't think he just was understanding what you're trying to get. You're trying to get him to do.
Probably not, but do you get what I'm saying? It's a kind of a simple argument. It's just like if I say, the only thing that exists is what's measurable, then I have to also make that claim or that statement or that proposition something measurable, and you can't. That's the point. You can't measure a proposition or truth claim.
When you make universal
like
claims,
you can a dick length, right? Like I can measure my dick. It's giant. It's huge. I can't measure that claim in the same way.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Okay, I don't know about your dick size. I'm not necessarily trying.
No, you don't know about that.
Here's a question. By the way, your mic. It sounds like you're putting inside of a Cheetos bag. I don't know what's going on there, but
me. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I think it's just brushing against your shirt or something. Kat in the regular chat says, ask Jay what he thinks of the characterization of him as a low-energy Alex Jones. I've never heard you characterized that way, but...
I mean, there's a lot of situations where I'm pretty high energy, so I guess it just depends on when you're catching me. Like last night, I did an interview with a guy, and I was super tired, so yeah, I'm going to be low energy at times, but...
well, it is, pretty late.
Yeah. I mean, just depends on the time of the day and whether I'm on my period or what.
All right, Mountain Walk in the super chat says, Jay, what do you think about younger Dryas, Sphinx dating, Göbekli Tepe, Puma Punku, alternative history stuff? If you have studied it, what do you think about that stuff?
I have no idea. I don't have any view on that. My bad. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry to disappoint.
What is we talked about this a little bit for the stream. Jay, what is your favorite anime? I love Dragon Ball.
Pikachu. I don't know. Everybody likes anime. No, everybody who likes anime is great and awesome, and I love all you guys very much. I was gonna say something mean, but I changed my mind last minute. So.
We won't. That was part of the the uncut part of the chat. Okay, Groovy Snake in the super chat says, Wings of Redemption got the surgery, another victory for the white race. Shout out to Sean Ranklin. You know what? Somebody mentioned that in chat last night, and I meant to bring it up while Jim was on, but we got into trolling Corinne and stuff, and I just forgot. But yeah, apparently Wings actually got the stomach stapling surgery or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, so he actually did that. Wasatch Man in the chat says, still talking about the JF non-issue. Well, guess who else is talking about it? JF. Like, I didn't, like, that wasn't my idea. Like, let's just talk about JF. I mean, he did a big stream earlier, had a bunch of people watching it. It's not like I created. I hate that when people come in the chat like, oh, you're still talking about this, Ralph. Why are you talking about... Motherfucker, it's on the agenda. Like, I didn't put it on the agenda. Other people did that. So, anyway. No disrespect to you as a person, like we were talking earlier, but I just hate that talking about, oh, Ralph, you're talking about this. Yeah, because that's what's being talked about. I didn't fucking make that up. Anyway, Corey Jeffrey in the super chat says, drunks calling in. Drunks calling in and trying to debate a philosophy major is bad radio. Actually, I think that's good radio.
I thought it was fun. Like that sounds like great radio to me, dude.
Yeah, I think you're wrong there. But speaking of drunks calling in, we have somebody about to bring on Ghost of Caligula. I cannot believe you came in here. Motherfucker, you were so close to getting
Sparkle, 4th of July, motherfucker.
Yes, thank you. What the fuck do you know about 4th of July?
I'm an America boo, okay? I love America. America is the greatest.
Marabou.
Okay.
All right, what do you got to say?
What's the Patrick Swayze? I mean, Jay Dreyer. Is that your name? Yeah.
No, it's Dyer.
What's the root of pathological altruism?
You mean like in the Ayn Rand sense? What are you talking about? What's the root of it? Why do people consistently want to be altruistic? You're asking me?
Yeah. Why? I think it's the root cause of many of our downfall right now. Because people like I don't know if they are too comfy, don't have to strive to survival enough. I don't know what's the problem, but it seems that they are pathologically altruistic towards people that don't deserve it, basically.
Is this a real person or is this like a comedy character?
No. I mean, he's a person.
He's a little bit of both.
He calls into shows.
I am Caligula, Emperor of Rome.
Yeah, he regularly calls into the show. Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
I would say sometimes pathological altruism could be detrimental to a people group or to an individual. It could be extreme, but it's not all extreme. I mean, I don't think you can adopt a completely nihilistic, fuck the entire world, I'm going to, become God Emperor. I don't think that works as a worldview. So, I mean,
what you
that's
think
kind of
that,
a broad question.
What you think that democracy inherit the Constitution of the United States, and it's probably like a bad reasoning for putting more amendment into the Constitution instead of keeping with the original word.
Democracy, what? Inherit the Constitution? What'd you say?
What would be a better word for it? Diminish the Constitution with further time that goes down the line, because democracy is basically pandering to the most common denominator. If you give free gifts to everybody, people will
democracy is the worst form of government imaginable. Absolutely, but that doesn't mean a constitutional republic based on Enlightenment gobbledygook is any better. I mean, I think that constitutional republics, democratic republics, Masonic republics, they all lead to the rule of oligarchy that we have now. So,
okay, yeah, okay. I'm not an atheist, but I do believe in survival of the fittest. I think that giving welfare to people is bad. It's just breeding and more low IQ people. Yeah.
So basically, Ayn Rand position. I mean, that's kind of what she said. She's like, pro-abortion, pro.
No, I'm not pro-abortion.
By the way, is it Ayn Rand or
if you're survival of the fittest, why wouldn't you?
Well, not in a eugenics way, but in not giving free gifts to people. In that matter, I mean, prove it. Even if you're a retard, if you can make it on your own, basically, you're fine. But regardless, when you were on the Warski live, did you book all the show? Or most of them?
No. I mean, Andy got Lauren Southern and Styx, and then I think I got Syrian Girl, and that was probably half and half.
Okay. So the lazy Andy meme is not true.
No, that one's never really been true. It's just
Well, I don't know.
People having a
Just
laugh.
looking at him. Just looking at him.
All right, Caligula.
Oh, no.
All right, no, you're about to get sunset. Do you have any final words here?
Yeah. Hail America. America is the greatest place to live.
I agree.
The stupidest. I feel better to live in Canada compared to the fucking UK. Have you seen that shit this afternoon?
Oh,
I have to be worried about shitstorm. And those niggers have to be.
All right, Caligula. Thank you, sir.
There
Thank
it is.
you.
All right.
Very well. Happy 4th of July. Thank you for calling in.
Oh boy, that was a bit much.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was waiting for the shoe to drop. I was like, he's gonna say something.
The Ralph retard there.
He pulled a Sargon.
You never know.
He pulled a Sargon. What can I say?
He pulled a Sargon.
Let's see. I tried Richard Abe. He didn't work. Tank Top Tiger, you're on the air live on the kill stream.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going okay. How are you doing?
Pretty good. So, okay. I mean, I've been listening, but I was playing a game too.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you weren't really listening.
So you weren't listening.
Yeah.
I was.
Go ahead.
Point.
Go ahead.
So, okay, do y'all know about smoking DMT and like you go and there's aliens and shit?
I've never smoked DMT. No, I did LSD a couple times, but no, I've never done DMT.
I've heard the story a million times.
Okay, go ahead then.
Well, since that's not true, but since we can't prove it's true, so aliens are as much real as God, right?
By the way, you're cutting out. I don't know if that's the DMT or your shit internet, but you're cutting out a little bit.
Probably Discord. No, I'm
Could
saying
be.
that the DMT dimensions and aliens would be as much real as God to Jay, right?
No, why would you think I believe that?
How can you prove it's not?
Well, I mean, a hallucination doesn't have the same ontological status as something that I believe is real. I think there's a distinction between something real and something that's a hallucination, as does everybody. Right? I mean, don't you?
Based on your argument, I mean, I'm seeing that God would be just as much real as the DMT aliens or whatever you want to call them.
Which argument are you talking about?
Last guy that called in.
Because it couldn't be measured?
Can't measure where I'm going when I'm tripping on DMT.
Well, but I didn't say that everything that couldn't be measured is real, right? So if I have a dream about unicorns, that doesn't mean unicorns are real because they can't be measured. I didn't make the claim that everything that can't be measured is real.
I mean, he's assuming you're an atheist, right? That's what he's. Is that what I'm getting here? I don't know. Maybe I'm lost. I'm not sure. I'm a little drunk.
I think he's trying to say that when I was arguing with that previous guy, that if I say that something that can't be measured is real, that therefore means everything that can't be measured is real, which I didn't say.
Okay.
So for example, like a law of logic, like the law of non-contradiction or modus ponens, these are basic logic laws. Like those can't be measured or located in time and space, right? They're not empirically experienced, but they're very real, right? So that doesn't mean that, like, if I have a dream about unicorns are just as real as the law of logic. No, they're not.
Okay, well, I just wanted to bring that up and hear you talk about it. Thanks for fucking making.
Well, I mean, does that make sense, or do you not get what I'm saying?
I agree with you, but I understand where you're coming from. I get your point of view.
What's your view? What do you think?
I mean, I know God doesn't exist, bro. I can look at my life.
Why would that mean God doesn't exist?
Wait a minute. That sounds like anecdotal evidence there, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
Maybe God didn't bless you because you were a heathen.
You don't believe in him. You gotta believe in him for him to.
Would you say everything's predetermined or no?
No, I think we humans have free will.
Well, then, yeah, I see where it comes from.
I'm telling you, this shit is spooky. Let's praise upside down.
I haven't got to use that one in a while.
That's true. That's an old cut right there. That's a deep cut. Caller, you got anything else, man?
That's it, dude.
Thank you very much. By the way, if you go to user settings and then click voice and video, and you take the bar under input sensitivity and pull that shit back to the left, and then Discord won't cut you off as much. Thank you, sir, for calling in.
Good show, man.
Great 4th. Talk to you later.
And happy 4th of July as well. Yes. We could try 8. This guy said he was going to come on and give away GPUs, but he's muted every time I bring him in. So, I'm not sure. Ultimate Potato Wedge, you're on the air live on the Kill Stream.
Hello Ralph and Jay, your streams have been great lately, and for the past 5 days I have been fixing my robot voice so it does not sound fuzzy, and it finally works now, and I just had a great 4th of July, so I am pumped today.
Good, I'm glad you had a great 4th, Potato Wedge. Do you have a question or a comment for Jay?
Keep doing what you're doing, guys.
Thanks.
Someone go tell Corinne we have text-to-speech itself on the Kill Stream right now.
Yeah.
Why is he always the best caller? That's what I don't understand. Okay. What else? Dude McBro McYolo Swag says, "Hey Ralph, how'd I get into Discord?" I put that in the chat. They can put it in again. Peaceful Sunset. Yeah, Peaceful Sunset says, "Happy 1776 kill stream. Put this donation towards a box of 12G deer slugs or a pack of hot dogs, whatever you want, because freedom. Thanks for all the shows." Thank you, sir, for supporting us. And I will put them towards hot dogs because I'm not legally allowed to own a pack of slugs. But Emmett Plobby says, "What is Jay's favorite method of government or form of society?"
Traditional monarchy.
So that's without, not constitutional monarchy, just absolute monarchy.
Hereditary monarchy. Yeah.
Now, why do you favor that? I mean, I guess I'm getting myself a little triggered here, though. But why do you favor that?
The history of Western civilization, the history of the removal of monarchs, the history of Christendom, the idea of the Imperium. That's all stuff that I'm into, that I've studied, and I see the last several hundred years is basically the victory of democratic republicanism / liberalism / Freemasonry since the time of the Enlightenment, and that involved the removal of all monarchies, basically, except for a couple degenerate ones that are left.
Why were they able to remove those monarchies, though? Is because there was a lot of degeneracy within those monarchies themselves.
Sure. Yeah, no, right? I don't deny that. But see, there's just as much degeneracy in the democratic republics, or
no,
more
I don't disagree with that either. But what
yeah.
I'm saying is, I guess my view.
Well, you know what's ironic about this?
People are degenerate at their core. Maybe that's the total black pill position there as well. But I don't know. Right. That there is. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, monarchy is pretty black pill. I mean, I've been a monarchist for a long time, but when you read some good critiques of republicanism and democracy, I mean, to me it seems like the most organic, natural form of government. This is what humans always have. They always have a king. They always have this form. The king and his family becomes an icon for the whole nation. Again, I'm a traditionalist, and by that I mean Enlightenment, pre-1600, pre-John Locke. It's not like the world began with John Locke, So
you can go back to the Roman emperors and Augustus and fucking all those, Tiberius, Caligula, Nero.
Yeah, I mean,
Claudius.
Orthodox Christianity is part and parcel with the Imperium. So yeah.
I guess I don't know. Like, I will say the one thing that actually, when I hear what you say off top, I'm like, okay, it's like a natural. I guess I've been bred in democracy, and I'm just automatically like, I like democracy. I like republicanism, which are not really the same thing. I guess we'll say republicanism. But the one benefit of having a monarch is they know their ass is on the line 100%. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if things go wrong, they'll be swinging from a light pole eventually, most likely. You know what I mean?
Guillotine.
Yeah, exactly.
the idea of an elected leader has no loyalty to his people. Now, granted, a king isn't necessarily going to be loyal to the people, but there's a much greater chance that he will be because, as you pointed out, his whole livelihood is about the nation. And the guy who's just a 4-year elected so-called official, he really has no loyalty to anything but getting votes, and that leads to the lowest common denominator, stuff that the guy was mentioning earlier.
And it's not only his own livelihood, or she, if it's queen, it's his whole family. Like, I mean, things go awry. You look at the Russian Revolution, other in Roman times, they fucking deposed Caligula. They didn't just kill Caligula; they killed his kids. They killed everybody else, and that's a common theme all throughout history. It's not like, they just kill me or whack me, and my family still keeps all their money. It's like they wipe out all your shit. Everything's destroyed.
Well, the other thing too is that monarchy can be a defense in the sense of, most of the time monarchs would enact tariffs to protect their workers, because free trade was actually one of the tools of the classical liberals to destroy nations. And this is why Marx, for example, was a big proponent of free trade, is because he knew that it had the power to destroy existing homogeneous cultures. And that's because he brings in cheap labor. And once you have the rise of usury, the rise of the money power, the rise of even the private corporation, it begins to trump the interests of the people group. So I see all those forms as inherently flawed and basically they end up being toxic for a people group. So, I mean, even the irony of this is that even libertarians like Hans Hermann Hoppe admit all these points that I make, which I didn't even know because I'm not a libertarian. But a lot of libertarians are like, oh, did you know Hans Hermann Hoppe, makes all your same points about monarchy? I was like, no, I didn't know that, but that's pretty ironic as a famous libertarian. Yeah.
So you would consider yourself more of a mercantilist figure, maybe, than a free trader?
Yeah, no, I think that the idea of the guilds, trade guilds and craft guilds, all that stuff from the Middle Ages was much more healthy. And yeah, I realize I'm being a bit LARPy here. I'm not like trying to.
Now, by the way, I hate free trade, quote unquote free trade myself.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I don't think that this stuff is going to like immediately come back into reality or anything like that.
No, well,
we're just specifically talking about form of government. Yeah.
Sure. Zidane, or Gator, do you have any thoughts on this little mini debate?
I actually think it'd be better.
For a monarchy.
Yes. The reasons being, right now, Senate hasn't done shit. They just argue, and what has been passed in the last 8 years, they don't get anything done. Trump's been trying, but the Senate is always, revoking his
now
policies.
Let me ask you this, and I'll let you continue. But don't you think part of your reasoning is living through an absolute complete shit time in our republic? So if you even look back, I don't know, say 30, 40, 50 years, while things were booming, while we're still the #1 country, but it's a lot more shaky now. If you look in the post-war period, when things were really going through, when things could actually get done in Washington, that you might not have these attitudes, whereas, I think monarchy's better. That part of it is conditioned on you living through such a complete shit time in our own republic.
Right. No, it's a possibility that maybe I was just given a bad taste in my mouth from, the contemporary situation. But at the same time, one of my degrees is in history, so I put a lot of time into history of Western civilization, ancient cultures. So I think I also kind of have a broad scope idea of how human societies tend to organize. And I think that if they all tend to organize hierarchically, I think that's
true.
Something natural.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. If you just look at how they see Trump and how they see the executive, I mean, they're almost treated like a king already. Yeah.
You get that whether you want. You know what I mean? Like, so even if you get the supposed democracy and everybody being equal and all this nonsense, like you're still going to, as Plato said a long time ago, democracies are run by oligarchs in the background.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you get. You get the so-called democracy is actually run by Soros in the background. That's why he promotes it, right? Then that's always been the case, because democracy has that that tendency to not just appeal to the lowest common denominator, but actually appeal to the basest desires in man. And that's what Plato critiqued in the Republic about democracy, is that it inherently moves man on the basis of his basest desires, because that's the easiest way to get the biggest numbers and to create the big sort of amorphous blob of everybody being on the same page.
And you can also see. Oh, sorry.
And who can do that better than, you know, the oligarch, the money guy, the corporate guy, the you know, the guy with the most pieces of gold, right? I mean, that's who can manipulate the masses the most. That's why democracy is so easily corruptible.
Yeah, and a democracy. Do we even have a true democracy? I mean, all the Senate, they're all bought and paid for pretty much.
Well,
there is a ruling class.
The idea of a true democracy is just as fleeting and fantastical as the idea of the true free market that we've never had, and the true communism that we've never had, and the true all these true things that have never been actually experienced. They're not real. There's never going to be a true democracy. There's never going to be truly free markets. There's never going to be the true libertarian state. There's never going to be the true Marxist communist utopia. They're all fleeting things that are never true.
Well, look, I don't even really disagree with you. Of course, the people with money, the people with power are always going to be the people who have, you know, the most sway in a democracy. But at least there is some chance, I guess. When you have a monarchy, you're more reliant on one person's will. I do see what you're saying. I even, you know, kind of supported your argument a little bit by saying, well, when their family's tied to it, when their personal well-being literally is tied to the government, I do see the benefits of it. But me personally, I would still err towards, if not a democratic system, some type of constitutional monarchy or constitutional monarchy.
Well, I think that you can't forget in this is the history of usury and the banking power. And what happens is when societies, and particularly in the West and in Christendom, when usury was for a long time banned, and then, you know, you eventually have this leaking into being allowed, and it's not an accident that as usury became the norm, you have the complete revolution of society away from throne and altar. And this is actually in one of the Masonic rituals. They have the oath to destroy throne and altar, and I think those two things are connected. So, you know, it's not really debatable that was a goal of all the revolutionaries from the Enlightenment on, much of which was Masonic, was to get rid of not just the idea of the church and its influence in society, but also the monarchy, because these institutions are anti-hierarchical, anti-authority. So if you read the traditionalists, people were asking, well, what do you think about Evelyn? What do you think about Spengler? What do you think about these guys? One of the great points that they always make is that modernity has gotten rid of the idea of authority. And so now, because we're supposed to believe that everybody's equal, which is not true, we've just been given new authorities. And those new authorities are, you know, David Rockefeller, the bankers, CEOs, you know, this is your new authority. So you never get away from authority. You just exchange them for new ones. And I see usury as very central to what completely revolutionized Western civilization.
But isn't that just a natural, like, state of humanity too, though? So you talk about people being taken advantage of and a ruling class and usury.
No, because usury is banned for a long.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, Gator, you have anything on this topic, sir?
Oof. Man, that's a lot to unpack.
I mean, we're going deep. We're going deep here.
Yeah, we are. But it's interesting. Maybe just.
I was just gonna say.
I mean, not every society, not every king was a servant to bankers. This actually was a process of, you know, people giving into these things,
especially in the Renaissance and stuff. It progressed,
right?
That, but yes,
exactly.
Yeah, my only real comment.
I know Chad is shocked that I know anything about history. I apologize for surprising them, but yes, go ahead, Gator.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could see that kind of that time frame when all of a sudden you go from having these unimpeachable monarchs that you know cannot be toppled, and then suddenly now all of the power is in the bankers. You see that clear divide when that happens, and the entire world changes
because of
absolutely. It. And I wouldn't some people would argue for the better. I wouldn't necessarily take that stance. I'm not a fan of monarchism, but I think that we've basically unleashed this kind of globalism kind of had its beginnings in the rising of the bankers and usury, and this idea of being a slave to debt.
Yes, it's completely parasitical. It goes along with other parasitical ideologies that came to the fore in the Enlightenment Victorian period. So absolutely, I mean I would say too, Ralph, that I'm not like saying that there's one size fits all for all cultures.
Oh, sure. Well, each society has their own prerequisites.
Yeah, I mean you could have republics seem to do okay at times for a period at least in like white cultures, right? But if you try to impose like a republic
in Iraq, like we try to do. Yes,
exactly.
Didn't work out that well.
No.
No, we just give them freedom. They just love it. No, you have to have certain prerequisites, certain societal functions for that to work.
And not every
huge democracy.
Yes, and not every people group and ethnicity has the same goals and spirit. I would even say, Spengler talks about the soul of a people. I think there's some truth to that, and not everybody's destiny and drive is the same, and that's fine. They
just don't see the world the same way. Like, I mean,
right,
yeah, exactly. All right, I do appreciate that. That's probably the most highbrow conversation we've had on this show in 2 or 3 weeks. So I do appreciate that. Let's see. Okay. Gregan's the guy in Super Chat says, Jay, you boxed yourself in when you told the caller there are more ways to prove things than empirical data. The caller is right about DMT trips. Using your logic, you could potentially prove it.
No. Again, they didn't listen to what I said. Okay, so look, the original claim, I'll make this really clear and quick, was that you should only believe, or I only believe or know what is empirically measured or verified. Okay. So the problem with that, and this is a long-standing philosophical critique of naive empiricism, it's not just me saying this, a lot of philosophers have said this, is that claim itself, the proposition itself, take the proposition, the sentence, and say, can you verify that truth claim empirically? No, you can't, right? So that's different than me saying that, well, anything that's not empirical is therefore true. I'm not saying that. Of course I'm not saying that. That would be retarded. It would be stupid to say that anything that is not empirically measurable is true, right? So I am not saying that. I'm saying there are certain things that are true and can be proven that are not empirical, such as laws of logic, such as mathematical principles. Those things are not empirical. And it's very easy to see that they're not empirical. And we prove them in different ways than the way that we prove something that is empirical, right? The way that I do logic, or I do mathematics, or I prove something.
And logic is math, basically.
It is.
Everybody understands that, but yeah, it is.
It's not. I don't prove things in that discipline the same way that I prove things in, science or at what temperature water boils. They're two different types of things. So, two different ontological types of things will require different types of proofs. Okay, so that's a very specific point I'm making, and it doesn't follow from that I'm saying that everything that's not material therefore is true and exists. No,
it's the difference between trying to apply numbers versus trying to apply reason. We can make
me saying that the laws of logic are proven in a different way than something empirical does not lead to the conclusion that unicorns exist or clockwork elves exist. They're two different types of things.
Well, it's the spaghetti monster fallacy. Basically the Starbucks drinking, UGG boot wearing logical side of the atheist. That's the lowest hanging fruit is what I'm trying to say. They're like, aha, flying spaghetti monster, so therefore, there is no God.
Look, math is immaterial, okay? And math being immaterial does not mean that everything fantastical exists. Okay, so Unicorns
the study
don't
of
exist.
logic is a math. It's math, basically.
Right. And it's not material mathematical principles.
It's just you say this, that means X means that. That doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Like it's literally math. American Rebel says Thomas Hobbes is right. Read Leviathan. I actually did read Leviathan. It was a long time ago, though. I probably should read it again. Let's see. Edmund Ploppy says, so who would be monarch? I don't think, I mean, that's a whole nother a different discussion. Who would be the monarch guy? I don't know if you wanted to weigh in on that. Like that's a whole separate.
No, I mean, I don't really take monarchy seriously in any form.
Well,
because
he just asked what was your favorite system. That doesn't necessarily mean, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Literally nobody says I have to restart the stream, but here's my 2 shekels. Thank you. Greggins, the guy, said that is the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. Under which monarchies did people have a higher quality of life than we do even today? Trajan was pretty good compared to today. That's one monarch.
Let me respond. By the way, that's not idiotic. No one would call Hans Hermann Hoppe idiotic. He's top libertarian philosophers in the world, very well known, very well respected. And he has made many convincing arguments about, for example, taxation. Did you know that taxation was far less under monarchies than it has been historically under democratic republics? So that's one example. Now, when you say quality of life, it depends on what you mean. Do you mean like modern medical care? Well, we don't know what would have happened if there had not been global revolutions that toppled all the monarchies. We don't know that the fact that we have modern healthcare is a direct result of the fact that we have democratic republics. You can't prove that. So it's a question of what do you mean by a high standard of living? Do you mean that we have 2-car garage and suburbs? Or I mean, what does that mean? That just assumes from the outset that
those derive from
yes,
and democracy. Yes,
right.
Brave and Ruin in the super chat, and I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll go back and read the others, but good to see you, Brave and Ruin. He says Jay is on point right now. Democracy has run away with the notion that anyone is as good as anyone else and used it as a means of control.
Absolutely, and they knew that in the ancient world. Plato knew that.
All right, let's see. Let me go through. I'm trying to read all these because they were kind enough to support us here. Mountain Walk says, does Jay like Nassim Nicholas Taleb?
I've heard some of his talks. He's okay, but I don't really. I mean, a lot of the perennialists, I don't think are that great.
He's fairly funny on Twitter. I've seen him around on Twitter, and he cracks me up sometimes. But yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Conrad says, did you hear about the guy who was doxxed and fired for assaulting a kid and stealing his MAGA hat? I personally did not hear about that.
No, I did not.
Mountain Walk then again says, does Jay know about Nassim Nicholas Taleb? I think we covered that. Mountain Walk then says, who is your favorite philosopher? I'll start with you. He said it was for everyone.
Heidegger's good.
Wait, say that again.
Husserl's good. I said Heidegger is good. Husserl's good. Certain ways. Yeah, that's what I would say.
What about you, Gator?
I think I'm going to have to go with Loki.
What about you today?
But in all seriousness, I would honestly tend to lean more towards Sun Tzu, even though he was more of a military guy, not so much a philosopher. I really enjoy the more war aspects of studying philosophy, because I think when you break down human society into its most visceral aspects, I think you learn more about the human condition.
Have you read Machiavelli's Art of War?
I have.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like book 6 because he talks about all the trickery that you can, false flags and shit. But yeah, Machiavelli's Art of War is really neat.
I have not read that.
I have actually read that, and since you scooped me there, I will say, and I'll let Sedan answer next. My favorites would be Machiavelli, probably right up top. Actually, Hegel is another of my favorite. Not that I agree with everything he said, but and then Cicero from the Roman Republic. Those would probably be my favorites. Go ahead, Sedan.
For a favorite philosopher, I don't even know if I have a favorite philosopher, to be honest. Never thought about it. I've read a couple things through college, but it's never like, oh.
I would add to some of the argumentation that made is similar to arguments that Hegel would make. So, for example, the type of argument I was making about propositions and truth claims, that would be very close to arguments that Hegel would make.
So, like the end of history, the eschaton, and all that stuff. I not that I agree with the theory, but it's just interesting to read that stuff. That's what I put that on.
Well, I meant more so like the ontological status of logic itself. Like, how do we, like, what is the status of a number? But yeah, his view of history is interesting too, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's what I focus on myself. But all right, let's see. Gregan's the guy says, if you have a problem with the authority of the oligarchs, why support a monarch?
Because the idea of a monarch is different from an oligarch. I mean, the oligarch is this goes back to like ancient Greece when they had the period of the oligarchs, and it's basically 12 powerful ruling families that had sway over, you know, the entire nation.
That's where the actual word came from. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is different from the idea of a single family that has not total power. I mean, there is limitations that even hereditary monarchies have lesser nobles and have limitations. So it's not like it's a complete dictatorship. But again, you know, it's just a simple fact of history that oligarchy is different from monarchy. They're not the exact same.
All right.
I will say this about monarchy versus democracy. I think raw democracy is universally a bad idea because, as many philosophers and political-minded people have said in the past, the problem with raw democracy is eventually you get that 50% plus one that ultimately control everything, and so everybody that's left in the minority no longer has a say in what goes on in their own country.
Yeah, but it's really not even the 51% that control things. It's actually like Edward Bernays says at the very beginning of his book, that he says that you all believe in democracy, but democracy is actually a cloak. This is what he says in the first page of Propaganda. He says democracy is a cloak for an invisible group of men who know how to sway the masses. So that's who actually runs things.
Right, and all they have to do is convince just enough people that of the lies that to take total control, and that's why systems like ours, constitutional republic, I believe, are one of the best forms of government because it delays their ability to be able to sway the masses in such a way because everything takes so much effort to
and that was part of Zama Madison. Yeah, that was the
One of the problems, though, with the constitutional republic, though, is that it can work in certain situations where you have a highly educated populace. But the problem is that most of the time, the populace isn't highly educated.
Well, we've seen that deteriorate here.
Yeah,
exactly. That's why our country is deteriorated, because it took them a while to figure out ultimately how they could subvert the United States, and they figured out, oh, well, if we just make everybody a blithering moron, then the entire
the part of the problem, though, is that the Enlightenment idea of the informed citizen, after a while, I mean, I used to believe in a lot of that type of stuff, but then after a while you start to realize, like, dude, not everybody is made to be an informed citizen who learns all the, you know, branches of government and who knows how to do. There's not everybody's a Renaissance man, right? Some dudes are they're just a mechanic, dude. Yeah. And that's actually normal and natural and healthy. There's nothing wrong with that. The mechanic doesn't have to know how to, you know, parse out every aspect of some bullshit libertarian principle that he's never going to, you know, read up von Mises's 800-page book and all this shit. He just needs to be a mechanic.
This is why the founding fathers originally had voting be restricted to people that could
reasonably
demonstrate their intellect.
Well, and be a white property owner, right? That was all kinds of restrictions on it, and be a male. Yeah. So that's true. But again, even still in a constitutional republic, you have the idea still of there being power coming from the bottom up. And I just simply don't believe that power comes from the bottom up. It doesn't. It doesn't come from the people. It doesn't come from the democratic mass, and it doesn't come from a bunch of people electing, you know, a council of Soviets. Right? I mean, the Soviet system is the Republican system. There's know that, by the way. United Soviet Socialist. It's just a different form of the republic that comes from. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a perversion and subversion of the idea.
On what basis though? I think that it's just one's just as legitimate as the other.
Well, it's a perversion in the fact that the election is kind of a sham, in that you will always have the opposition candidates, but they're not really legitimate candidates. They just exist there, much like we have always been at war with.
Both are just government by committee. That's all it is. It's just bureaucrat. That's all you get. Whether it's a constitutional or a Soviet Socialist Republic, it's just government by bureaucrat. That's all it is. That's true. Yep. Well, again, the idea of the knots. In other words, again, power comes from the bottom up. I mean, for example, we look at nature. Everybody always wants to talk about nature and survival of the fittest and evolution. And we look at nature, we don't coming from the bottom up. So when we look at nature, see power coming from the bottom up, right? There's a male, there's a female, right? Usually the male's I understand there's different types of kingdoms and whatnot, phyla and so forth. But typically what we see in nature is hierarchy. And the point being is that I think that in human relations, power in the family, for example, doesn't come from the bottom up. The kids don't accord to the mom and the dad the authority that they have. It's natural. And so in the same way, a society, a tribe, a nation has its authority from the top down, not from the bottom up.
By the way, I was muted for some of that. What I did kind of co-sign Vanilla Ice's comment about Hegel. I don't know if everybody heard that. I read Mirror Master's comment out, and that was the response there about monarchs. Kat ask Jay what he thinks about Kant, please. Kant is another. I've read a lot of philosophy now. It's been some years. Now the thing about a lot of these philosophers, at least me personally, it takes some work. It's not like just picking up and reading a James Patterson novel, you know what I mean, or Stephen King.
No, Kant and Hegel are two of the most difficult philosophers.
Like, they're deep, and sometimes even for learned people, you might have to read a passage 2 or 3 times. You know what I mean?
Right.
To kind of or even more sometimes to actually get it and for it to sink in. So it's deep reading type stuff, and that's why what Jay was talking about earlier. Some people just want to be a mechanic. Some people just want to read Patterson. Some people just don't. Like, they want to live their lives. They don't have the time. They don't have the inclination. They're trying to feed their family. That's why I do have a lot of sympathy with that. It's like, well, I just worked a 12-hour shift. You want me to get off work and read fucking Kant? Like, no, I'm gonna watch Netflix. You know what I mean? Like that's I have a lot of sympathy with that. But I guess just your opinions on Kant.
Well, I certainly utilized a lot of insights from Kant in the fact that I make transcendental arguments, which was, a key factor in Kantian philosophy. But of course, the big problem in Kant is that Kant basically locks everything inside man's mind. So man's mind can never penetrate to the external phenomena. They can never get to the noumena, which is the world beyond immediate experience. So that's a big problem in Kant. But Kant is insightful in terms of transcendental arguments.
All right, let's see. Those are all regular chads. Rex Quando says, Jay, do you suggest a person completely rids themselves of debt and lives outside of credit or mortgage, or is that LARPy?
No, I have no debt.
Well, you are. I'm jealous. I'm officially jealous right now.
Yeah. That is the ideal. Is
that
to
student
live
loan
debt
debt
free.
Yeah.
Oof, God. I won't get into it, but yeah, still along that. And they don't play. I'll put it that way. Dragons the guy says, did want to say I love listening to Jay anyway. And I think he's had some disagreements with you, but he loves listening to you. I mean, look, there's a lot of people I have disagreements with that I like listening to too. So
word.
Exactly. Word. Wow. The green is full. Look, Jay's been here for a while. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to bring you guys in, but like just give your take and leave, I guess would be the polite way to put it, because we're coming up on our normal time period, and Jay's been kind enough to stick with us throughout this whole time. So we got about 15-20 minutes, but just don't try to hog the time. Just give your take and go. Rusty, oh god, if you're muted, look, I don't know what to tell you. PUK 15, you're on the air live in the kill stream.
It's actually Puck 15, by the way.
Okay, well, just go ahead, give your thought.
Well, I was just going to say, America, fuck yeah, but yeah, I just want to get out of the way. And also, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to remind you of something. You remember back in the Obama days when we were also defending our rights to the freedom of the internet? Remember Protect IP and SOBA that days? Well, the UK is going through the same shit, and so far they're losing. So
you're talking about Article 13 and all that
yep,
stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I think this is ultimately what's going on with the world, is that they see the power of the internet, they see the power of the ability to access any piece of information at any time, and it scares the globalists because it allows people access to the truth about what's really going on in society, about the idea for one world governments and open borders, hemispheric markets, and all that stuff. And so they want to basically clamp down on the ability to freely pass information. That's what Article 13 is ultimately about.
Yeah, and I was about to compare Article 13 to SOBA and Protect IP, what we used to have back here in America, and up until we fought against it, and then the president actually vetoed it, and then we never saw the light again. But like I'm saying, the UK is going through the same thing, and over there they're going to censor the internet, but we fought through it. So
all right, thank you.
I just thought I would bring that up. Thank you, Ralph.
Appreciate it. Thank you as well. Any thoughts?
Me?
Anybody? I don't know. I think we already talked about it a little bit. Let's just try that. Let's just try to power through. Ham Banana, you're on the air live on the kill stream. Go ahead and give your thoughts.
All right. So for Mr. J. Dyer, I just wanted to let you know that since you're a very philosophical person, I would recommend playing Metal Gear Solid 2, because it talks about philosophy of what do we pass on to the next generation, to your own kin, besides our biological DNA. But on that note, I just kind of want to know what your take on with the whole thing with like all these conspiracy theories regarding the shadow government, and how the game talks about the flow of information and how they manipulate it to their potential narrative. And that's just what I wanted to know. Thanks.
Yeah, actually, because the last chapter, history of DARPA, that I'll be doing another talk on. There's actually where she discusses the CIA and DARPA being a team to create and control those online, and so it relates to big data, how information is passed online to co-opt and that information to make narratives that are more mainstream. So it ties into like GCHQ studying memes and stuff. Like a lot of it's over my head in terms, because I'm not like a big tech dude. But yeah, I will be talking.
Let me try this really quick, because Discord, I don't know, the call is just okay. Now talk.
Me?
Yeah, it was just breaking up. I just quit the call and then joined back in.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes Discord is a little prickly.
No. I think it's just Discord being really weird.
Yeah. So all right, thank you, Hemman. I appreciate it. try this dude. Dr. Richard Ape, you're live on the air on the kill stream.
Oh, am I? Well, that's fucking fantastic. Can you hear me?
I can. You're very loud. I turned it down. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, turn me down. Okay, look, all I want to say is a few things. Number one, Mr. Medicare, I offered you a GPU. So he doesn't want it, so I'm going to offer it to the Ralph Retort stream viewers as a sweepstakes. Number two, Jay Dyer. You know what? I think, are you more like Christian slanted in your beliefs?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. And that's fine. But we actually agree with a lot of things. And that's why I'm a millionaire as well, because we believe in the right things. I just don't agree with those things. But either way, I am going to be giving away a Ralph Retort Stream 980 Ti GPU to the Ralph Retort viewers. I don't know what the sweepstake is. On top of that, you know, Ralph, honestly, you really need to disavow Dongasaw because he's not going to fight you IRL in his wheelchair.
Look, I'm not getting into that.
Okay, fine. We'll quit it. Also, Warski's stream was pretty low IQ. But other way, that's all I want to say. But you know, Jay Dyer, I don't actually believe exactly what you're saying, but you know what? You have a truth behind you, and that's good enough. And you know what? Fuck you, Ralph. You're so fucking soft with like your daddy knows, you know? Come on,
what?
Man.
Now, fuck you. I let you on this fucking stream for one. Just because I don't want to disown people that I have a friendship with or have a relationship with. You don't tell me what to do, fucker. You're just somebody who watches this show. You're just somebody who comes to the stream. You don't fucking tell me what to do.
I'm not telling you.
You're not my fucking daddy. You don't tell me shit. You don't know what I've talked to people. You don't know the relationship I have with people. Fuck off.
Oh, come on, man. What are you getting all fucking...
Not because you're full of shit. I'm not soft. I wouldn't let you be here if I was soft. I wouldn't let the chat say anything they want if I was soft. You're full of fucking shit. Just because I won't bend to your will doesn't mean I'm soft.
You're a little bit soft.
Leave. All right. Graham, you're on the air live on the kill stream.
Okay, first, Resident Evil 2 is the best. And my question condensed is basically, what do you say to, for Jay, of course, what do you say to people that think that it's conspiracy bullshit that cultural Marxism has infiltrated and started the Western world? That's basically my question.
Well, there's a wealth of fragments that you can read the writings of Horkheimer, read Habermas, you can read the authoritarian personality for school people who talk about destroying Western civilizations. So anybody that says that is just ignorant.
But what if they just they think all that's just bullshit and they're just critics, and then they go back to reading like Salon and BuzzFeed and New York Times?
Well, I mean, if it's somebody that I wouldn't even try to enlighten them or wasting your time, they're not to make the connections between what the guys who said they were going to write accomplished when a society. I mean, if they can't see it, then move on.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. By the way, Discord sounds like he's trying to assassinate you.
Oh, he
did
assassinate him.
No, I meant Jay.
Yeah. I thought he just come back.
No, I did that. Oh. By the way, I don't care what anybody says about anybody else. That's fine. But you tell me what to say. No, like I say what I want. Like that's the thing. Like you can trash anybody you want. People come on here and talk shit about me, even talk shit about Annie, talk shit about Tonka, talk shit about JF. I don't care. Like that's fine. Say what you want.
Peacefully sunset Bunty King.
but to sit here and say because you feel this way I need to say that, or I need to take up your position, well, start your own fucking show. I don't know what to tell you. I don't have to take up your flag. You have your own flag, and if I feel the need to say something, I will. But like to try to force your mentality on me, that's not gonna happen ever. So
oppress me, Daddy.
Oh, hello, Aiden.
I've been waiting for the perfect moment to play that.
Why don't you play it again? As a matter of fact, hit it again.
Yeah, play it again here.
Oppress me, Daddy.
Oh, okay. All right.
That sounds kind of Lauren Southern-y there.
I'll calm down. That's actually Aiden Paladin.
That's the only good sound clip that we had from
that stream.
Yeah.
That was it.
All right. That calmed me down a little bit. All right. Let's see. I have a couple more calls. Fireball 64. Oh God, you're muted. Okay. Well, you know where that's gonna head. Brute. His name always cracks me up for some reason.
Hey, how you doing on this 4th of July? It's a pleasure.
Yes, it's a pleasure. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing all right, man. You know, I come into the stream and I hear you guys talking about metaphysics and philosophy. It's the 4th of July. What the fuck's going on?
We got deep tonight. I'm not gonna lie, we did.
Yeah, I can tell. Jay Dyer, it's good to hear from you. I want to ask Jay Dyer a quick question and make a statement because I know you want to get a lot of people through. First, the question. Can you tell us a little bit more about how DARPA gave us the first video games? Because that's the first time I've heard about it. I'm genuinely interested, a little skeptical. And then my statement is throughout the 4th of July, throughout the last, maybe like 6-7 hours, I've noticed something. The fireworks go on for about 4, 5, 6 hours, right? You go to a place like China in October during their Independence Day, they got fireworks 24/7 for 2 fucking weeks. It's sad.
Well, specifically, I should be more specific, I guess. It's first-person shooters, and the development of the first-person shooter comes from SimNet.
SimNet.
The DARPA program is SimNet, SIMNET.
Okay.
So yeah, there was probably people who were experimenting with Pong and shit like that before, but there was a early flight simulator. I forget who developed it, and then DARPA said, "Hey, we could actually take this, entire simulated environments." It's called SimNet.
I mean, this is interesting, and the possibility does exist. Do you have any sources for that kind of thing? I mean, there's a lot of theory into where the first video game came from. I mean, there's some folks who say the Canadian did it in 1950s. With the tic-tac-toe game. There's lots of shit out there, but where did you get that from?
Well, like I was saying earlier in the talk, in the interview, I'm doing a lecture summary of a 500-page history of DARPA by Annie Jacobson. It's called
myself. I just want to say to the stream real quick. Thanks for having me on, and also go launch some more fireworks and don't let the Chinese show you guys up.
Shit smelling. All right, Daniel Black, you're live on the air on the Kill Stream.
Yeah, Jay, I was just curious. Could you talk about some philosophers' views on race?
That's a good question. Well, I guess if you count the Galtons, like Sir Francis Galton and Charles Galton Darwin, I mean, they were any of the British, Victorian, Malthusian era, they were all racialist in that kind of classical Darwinian sense. And they kind of count as philosophers. Spangler talks about race, but he's not a racialist in the classical Darwinian sense. He's more of he thinks races are real, but he also believes that each race can have like a higher souled person, like culture bearers type idea. Yaki talks about race. He would count as a philosopher. I think Heidegger probably had some views on race. But that's a great question. Are there any philosophers that specifically talk about race? Beyond that, I'm not sure off the top of my head. It's a good question.
I have a political question. Can I ask that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I know you focus on philosophy, but you talk about politics too. I'm just curious about the future of America, like when Texas turns blue, sort of, do you see secession as sort of a long-term answer once the demographics sort of turn?
I don't know how real that would ever be as an option. I mean, it may happen, but I mean, I'm pretty black-pilled on a lot of that stuff, so I don't really see that as like something I would champion or try to put out there as a real option. I mean, you're not, because you're not really dealing with like one country. It's not like just the U.S. government. We're talking about a plan that is global in scope, international banking, international corporate interests that all have the same idea. So even if Texas seceded, that's really not enough to deal with the scope of, who really runs things.
Well, I didn't just mean Texas. I meant Texas as in, like, the Republicans are doomed demographically. And so, like, we're just going to keep losing elections. So, like, what do you do? Do you break away or something? Anyways, thank you.
All right, thank you for calling it. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I don't really have an answer to that.
Yeah, well, that is a tough question, I have to say. Because once the GOP loses Texas, which, I mean, if you go by demographics and projections and stuff, that's
right,
almost assuredly gonna happen at some point. So if they lose
right.
Texas, Illinois, New York, California, I mean that's a large part of the game right there. And then Florida, that's iffy too. Whether they're gonna be able to hold on to that. So yeah.
It doesn't matter if you can hold on to that if you lose Texas. Once the Republicans lose Texas, man, it's go game.
All right, we actually have quite a few more callers. Let me try one. America, give your point really quickly.
America, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Give your point really quickly because I'm trying to run through these three. We're a little bit over
Yeah, I
time.
got you. So I've listened to hours of Jordan Peterson's talk, and I've come to the conclusion that he is 100% a theosophist, Jay. He's obsessed with symbolism and is essentially a Unitarian the way he blends religions into Christianity. And he also believes he's had a vision, and he also believes his wife has visions. And this kind of plays into why he worked for the UN, because their end goal is kind of globalism. I just wondered if you could speak to that for a little bit.
Yeah, and many of the big UN thinkers and founders were 100%. That's something I don't have direct to Jordan Peterson's at the Theosophist, but makes the most sense. If we were to put some kind of name or title on his worldview, it would be that.
Jordan Peterson is trying to
strangle
your microphone right now, by the way. I think it's your internet. It's kind of like I'm killing you. Try to say that again.
Could be. I'm agreeing. I'm saying yes. So if Jordan Peterson had it, that we would give it, it makes the most sense to say he's a theosophist, probably.
And I just don't know why he just doesn't admit this. I mean, it'd be one thing if he said all these things and was open about himself being a theosophist.
Too weird, too taboo. It's taboo and fringe and weird and occultic to just admit that it's not good optics.
All right, thank you, America, for calling in. I appreciate it, man.
That was a good insight, though. That was a great
Yeah, it was I like the question. It's just like you're cutting out now. It's just started happening the last 30 minutes. I don't know if what's going on, but it's about time to head home anyway. Jay Dyer, first off, I'm hopeful that you'll come back on the show. I had a really good time with you on the show tonight, and I feel like we got into some...
Yeah, man, that was a lot of fun.
We got into some deeper topics that we almost never get into on this show. And I know some people maybe are surprised by some of the stuff we talked about here on the stream, but I actually love those type of conversations. Awesome, not that we're gonna do them every night. You know, most people probably come here to see the drama and stuff like that. But
right.
I mean, we had a little drama, but I feel like it was mostly a big-brained type conversation here, and I appreciate you coming on, sir.
All right, man. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yep, thank you as well. Thank you, Gator Gamer, as always.
Thank you. I finally figured out what was going on with my computer. Windows Update tried to reactivate itself and download like 3,000 gigs of updates.
That'll definitely do it. Zidane, thank you as well. Are you gonna post the post-stream link into the chat?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make it real quick, and then I'll do it. But yeah, Jay, it was great talking to you, buddy. I'm really glad you brought up the Black Dahlia stuff because that shit always interests me.
All right, good deal.
He and Zidane should really start doing more like
maybe you guys should try to solve the murder.
Oh, we should.
Maybe we should.
Murderers, excuse me, plural. Yes.
Yeah. We should definitely like do some more like paranormal slash like.
I wanna.
As a side thing, I was driving to work 2 days ago, and I saw a fucking car that said paranormal investigators on it, and they were like driving somewhere. Not even
fuck
lying.
yeah.
Not even fucking lying.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Happy 4th of July. I guess it's the 5th of July now, but you know what I mean.
It's still America.
It's still America. Every day, all day is America Day. Thank you, gentlemen.
I still got burgers.
Burgers on burgers on burgers.
I still do.
All right, gentlemen. You have a good one.
Thank you, buddy.
It's just me now. Oh, there's a few super. I don't know about a few, but there's at least a couple that I didn't get to read. Rex Quando says Paul Town for Monarch. You know what? I would like to get Paul Town on here one day. I've interacted with him for years, literally years on Twitter, and he's a funny dude. And I've heard him on other streams, and maybe one day we can actually get him on here. Black Budget.